Chapter 524. I can't have any physical contact? Seeing the notification, Wang Yu and Meng Qi were at a loss. In the second stage, Messiah was still flying. Flying on flat ground was even more insane than flying up. This was because when she jumped up, the obstacles would fall from the sky. Even if Messiah could fly, she would still have to avoid them. However, most of the mechanisms in the second stage were on the ground, and the rest were suspended in midair. As long as Messiah flew higher, she would be able to ignore the mechanisms on the ground and fly steadily all the way. The difficulty of the second stage was more than doubled. From the first trial, if they wanted to pass it perfectly, the most important trigger point was Messiah. Now that they couldn't even have any physical contact, what could they do? Exquisite Dream looked at the obstacles in the air, then at the traps on the ground, and finally at Messiah. She then said to Wang Yu, "If I shoot him with my bow, won't there be no physical contact?" Hee ha ha. If you shoot, then shoot. What are you laughing at? Wang Yu asked Exquisite Dream with a dumbfounded look. Shoot, isn't it funny, ha 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 ha. Exquisite Dream laughed until she couldn't breathe. Wang Yu was even more confused. Messiah turned her head and stared at the two of them. As long as you can attack me, even if there is physical contact, don't even think about it. Exquisite Dream's laughter suddenly stopped. The two's last attempt to play word games had been discovered in advance. F***ck your grandpa, isn't this shameless? If you have the guts, fight me one-on-one. Exquisite Dream threw her weapon and pointed at Messiah. Messiah said, "If you roar at me, my favorability towards you will decrease." Woo-woo. Exquisite Dream was about to scold back, but Wang Yu covered her mouth. Meow, her favorability had already decreased by half. If it continued to decrease, she would be eliminated in advance. He cheated. Shameless. Exquisite Dream said angrily. Didn't you say that if you want to be shameless, you will lose? That's why I feel that there must be another way to deal with this trial. Wang Yu touched his chin and said, "How am I supposed to deal with him? He's flying in the sky, and there are so few obstacles. I'm not a full agility archer, so I can't help him at all," Exquisite Dream said gloomily. Wang Yu's eyes lit up when he heard that. Fewer obstacles? We can create obstacles for him. Aren't we not allowed to make physical contact or attack him? Linglong Meng asked doubtfully. We can totally not attack him. Wang Yu giggled and gestured with her hands. Exquisite Dream understood Wang Yu's meaning and said in surprise, "I didn't know that a simple-minded fellow like you would have so many ideas. Of course, I'm not stupid enough to put all my attributes into intelligence. F***ck. B***tch. What's wrong? Have you thought of a solution?" She glanced at the two of them and said, "I'm warning you, don't try to attack me." Exquisite Dream raised her crossbow and fired. The arrow grazed past Messiah's head. Meixia's face darkened. Linglong Meng said, "I didn't attack you. Why do you look like that?" Meixia was speechless for a moment, then said, "All right, let the trial begin." As soon as she finished speaking, a countdown appeared in front of the two of them. This time, in order to prevent Wang Yu from getting close to her, Meixia deliberately moved to the side. The countdown ended. Wang Yu leaped up and flew out. Meixiao spread out her arms and flew up against the wind, following closely behind her in a fluttering manner. At this moment, Exquisite Dream raised her crossbow and fired an arrow at Meixia's body. Meixia's body froze in midair. Meixia was silenced and couldn't speak. However, her angry eyes seemed to be questioning Exquisite Dream. "You dare attack me?" Exquisite Dream smiled and pointed at the ground, saying, "I didn't attack you. I attacked the ground." Meixia was, after all, a famous boss. When she heard Exquisite Dream's words, she was only slightly stunned. Following which, the angry expression on her face turned into a smile as she gave Exquisite Dream a thumbs up. This was Wang Yu's strategy. No obstacles create obstacles. Originally, the best teammate for Wang Yu to pass this trial was actually Chun Xiang. Dark Warlocks weren't good at anything else, but they were very unique in terms of disgusting people. If Chun Xiang was here, he wouldn't need to say anything. He could just throw a darkness barrier in front of Mei Xia and block her for 5 seconds. Then he could throw a thorny bush for another 5 seconds. Then he could throw a darkness barrier, and then another. As long as he had enough mana, he could control Mei Xia until she died. In any case, Mei Xia only said that she couldn't attack him. She didn't say that she couldn't use skills. I threw a skill on the ground and you hit it yourself. Although Exquisite Dream didn't have a non-directional crowd control skill like Chun Xiang, Wang Yu knew that Exquisite Dream had a skill called Shadow Binding Arrow. This skill could freeze and silence the target. What made Wang Yu most satisfied was that this skill's control effect didn't work on the target's body, but on the target's shadow. Shooting arrows on the ground can't be considered physical contact, right? Judging from Mei Xia's attitude, she seemed to have been convinced by Linglong Meng. After breaking free, Mei Xia was about to give chase again, but Linglong Meng's shadow bind hit Mei Xia's shadow again. Mei Xia calmly glanced at Linglong Meng, her expression extremely calm. Although Shadow Bind's control effect was powerful, against a boss it was nothing. If this arrow were aimed at Wang Yu, she would be immobilized for at least 2 seconds. However, Mei Xia was a master archer. Not only did she have class bonuses, but she also had the support of a boss. Hence, a single skill could only immobilize Mei Xia for 0.8 seconds. Archers weren't a class with explosive MP. On the contrary, archers mainly focused on agility. Their MP growth was even worse than her pitiful HP growth, hence, Mei Xia was very calm. A single skill only had a 0.8 second duration. Moreover, crowd control skills consumed a lot of mana. An archer could maintain a maximum of 10 crowd control skills. 10 shadow binds meant 8 seconds of crowd control. The running track was very long. So what if she let the fighter run for 8 seconds first? If she wanted to win, although it would take some effort, it was still within her control. However, after 8 seconds, Exquisite Dream had caused Mei Xia to panic. If it were an ordinary archer, Mei Xia's calculations would definitely be correct. However, Mei Xia had never expected that the archer standing in front of her was a pure intelligence archer. Compared to other archers, Exquisite Dream's MP was so high that it made one's hair stand on end. 10 skills, another 10 skills, and another 10 skills. Mei Xia had been stunned for more than 20 seconds, but Exquisite Dream still had no intention of stopping. Mei Xia's face became incomparably pale. After throwing another 5 skills, Exquisite Dream's mana was completely empty. Meanwhile, Wang Yu was less than 100 meters away from the finish line. At this time, Mei Xia could not catch up no matter what. Mei Xia stared blankly at Exquisite Dream, not knowing what to say. A little level 35 archer had fired 35 shadow binding arrows in a row. This was definitely more shocking than when Wang Yu had beaten Mei Xia up. Chapter 525. System Notification. Perfect Clear. You have obtained the title Running with the Wind. Running with the Wind. Non-combat movement speed plus 50%. While Mei Xia was in a daze, Wang Yu had reached the finish line. The system notified her. Yay! Exquisite Dream jumped up in excitement when she saw the system notification. We won. Perfect Clear. The scene was cancelled. Wang Yu was teleported back from the finish line. Exquisite Dream pulled on Wang Yu's arm and shouted. Of course. Wang Yu smiled and pushed Exquisite Dream's hand away. Mei Xia was a little surprised. However, she didn't look angry like she did in the first stage. Not bad. If that's the case, I'm convinced of the result of this stage, Mei Xia said with a tone of admiration. From this, it could be seen that this was the bottom line of the quest. The possibility of a player surpassing a flying NPC was infinitely close to 0. The reason they could form a party was because the system had given them a way out. However, there was a limit to this breakthrough. players could do their best to harass the NPC, but attacking the NPC was against the rules. It was just like in the Olympics. If an athlete taunted or insulted their opponent, they would at most be given a warning. If they dared to openly cause trouble, they would definitely be banned. However, normal players did not have the foresight and integrity of Wang Yu and Xiao Luo. It was likely that no one would dare to make a move on a trial NPC. This was the reason why S-rank missions were rarely completed. This was a test of the player's level of deceit. However, the third stage won't be so easy, Messia said unhurriedly when she saw the relaxed smiles on Wang Yu and Exquisite Dream's faces. The third stage is a battle stage, right? Wang Yu asked. Wang Yu had already passed 2 of the 3 stages. Naturally, Wang Yu could see that these 3 stages were worthy of their name. Since higher faster was high jump and running, the third stage was stronger than running, it would be a fierce battle. Not bad, Messia said. There are no techniques to clear this stage. You can only rely on your strength to suppress me. In the competition stage, the NPCs were not in an attacking state. Therefore, no matter how sinister and ruthless the players were, it was all permitted by the system. Therefore, Messia could only admit defeat. The battle stage was a clash of real strength. After all, it was a game. After all, combat was the main theme. Oh, I see. Wang Yu smiled and touched his chin. Actually, I don't like running and jumping. Fighting is more interesting. Messia was stunned by Wang Yu's words. Messia had been tricked by the 2 players twice in a row. She had even lost the first round. She was feeling quite frustrated, so she wanted to get back at the battle stage. Who knew that Messia was so confident, and Wang Yu seemed to be even more confident than Messia. Messia was at a loss. She was a boss. Did this brat really think that she only had that much strength? Let me tell you, in the battle stage, my strength is not as simple as the first stage, Messia warned Wang Yu. I know. Wang Yu nodded. That's even more interesting. This time, it wasn't just Messia. Even Exquisite Dream was stunned. Was he trying to scare the boss? His tone was too arrogant. All right, enough nonsense. Let's begin. While speaking, Messia waved her hand. The 3 of them entered the battlefield once more. After entering the battlefield, before Wang Yu and Exquisite Dream could react, Messia raised her hand and shot an arrow at Exquisite Dream. Exquisite Dream was a fragile archer. How could she withstand an arrow from a boss? Messia immediately sent Exquisite Dream out of the battlefield. Damn, what a despicable bastard. He actually used a sneak attack. Exquisite Dream could not help but curse when she was sent out of the battlefield before she could even get a good look at the scenery. She had no choice. Messia was a dual-class archer. In the second stage of the trial, Messia had felt the malice of Exquisite Dream, an abnormal archer. If it were only Dream Exquisite alone, then so be it. After all, Messia could easily kill her with a normal attack. However, there was still Wang Yu, a Grandmaster of Combat. How could a Grandmaster of Combat possibly close in on a ranged boss? After experiencing Wang Yu's methods, Messia did not dare stay within 5 meters of Wang Yu. Seeing Exquisite Dream die, Wang Yu was stunned. The countdown hasn't started, right? Don't tell me that as the strongest martial artist, you don't desire a fair battle, Messia said in a dignified manner. I do, but you're breaking the rules, Wang Yu said sternly. Messia hurriedly stuffed something into Wang Yu's hands. Then, she said in a low voice, don't tell anyone. Wang Yu, Title Stone, obtain the title Heart of the Strong after use. Class restriction, Archer. Damn it, class restriction, Archer. This must be a special compensation for Exquisite Dream. Wang Yu did not know whether to laugh or cry as he placed the title stone into his bag. System notification: you have accepted the trial quest, advance in the face of difficulties. At the same time, a countdown appeared on the screen. During the countdown, Messia desperately floated far away from Wang Yu. It seemed that Wang Yu's close combat abilities had left quite a shadow in her heart. Otherwise, as a boss, she would not be afraid of a mere player, no matter the class difference. When the countdown ended, Messia was already 20 meters away from Wang Yu. For safety's sake, she had even floated high up in the sky. At this time, Wang Yu also saw Messia's full attribute. Wind Spirit Messia, LV45, Gold, Epic HP, 500000 MP, 500000 Skills, Wind Magic Mastery, Marksman Mastery, Sigh of the Wind Introduction, a rare genius of the Elven race. She received the Wind Elemental's recognition and inheritance at birth. In addition to the Elven race's peerless archery skills, Messia became an elder of the Elven race before the age of 800. Wind Spirit's Rage. Your previous actions have angered the elegant and proud Wind Spirit. Wind Spirit level +5. Current level, 45. Wind Spirit's Trial. The Wind Spirit in the Trial. Ability rank +1. Current level, Epic. Although the attribute description was very simple, Messia's strength was undeniable. The lifespan of the elves could not be considered immortal, but it was close. Messia, who was 800 years old, was only a few years old in human terms. For her to have the strength of an elder of the elven race at such a young age, it could be seen how talented she was. Marksman was the class with the highest agility growth. Wind and Lightning were both classes famous for their speed. Of course, Lightning's speed referred to spell casting speed, while Wind's speed referred to movement speed. In previous online games, although movement speed was also very important, it was not enough to make a player invincible. However, in the holographic mode of online games, as long as there were no control classes, as long as one's movement speed was high enough, they would be invincible. Chapter 526. In addition to being fast, Wind Magic also had the most famous skill of magicians in the later stages of the game, flight. Players might have learned skills like levitation or featherfall, but compared to flight, they were nothing. What did it mean to have an archer that could fly and move at such a high speed be like? Even a small monster was enough to give most players a headache, let alone a boss. Messia was a boss that specialized in two elements. She had mastered wind magic and all the skills of an archer. Her shooting range was also terrifying. When a level 35 archer learned shooting mastery, their shooting range could reach up to 15 meters. When a level 40 magician learned ballistic mastery, their shooting range could reach up to 13 meters. Messia had learned both, and with the bonus of being a boss, her shooting range was at least 25 meters. She didn't even need to move. With the attack range of a player, they wouldn't even be able to touch her, let alone attack her. At this moment, Messia was very pleased with herself in the air. She knocked an arrow and aimed it at Wang Yu. After Wang Yu dodged to the side, Messia's second arrow followed. Wang Yu couldn't help but be surprised. The two arrows were less than 3 meters apart. Messia's average attack speed was almost as fast as a player's rapid arrow skill. She was really overpowered. Oh, not bad. Messia saw that her 2 arrows missed and was slightly surprised. Messia originally thought that Wang Yu was only good at close combat. She didn't expect his reaction speed to be so fast. After her surprise, Messia drew her bow even faster. Arrows rained down from the top of Wang Yu's head. Unexpectedly, Wang Yu didn't retreat. Instead, he advanced. As he dodged the arrows, he rushed towards Messia's position. "You're courting death." Messia pulled her bowstring, and a large amount of arrows flew towards Wang Yu. Blood Arrow Rain was only a dozen arrows in Exquisite Dream's hands. However, in Messia's hands the effect was multiplied. More than 50 arrows flew towards Wang Yu. Wang Yu didn't dodge. His hands danced up and down at an extremely fast speed, swatting the arrows down one by one. From start to finish, he didn't slow down at all. Seeing such a strange scene, Messia's eyes almost popped out of her head. There were more than 50 arrows, and as Wang Yu moved forward, There were at least 10 arrows that fell at the same time. In just 1 second, Wang Yu had actually knocked down all the arrows. What kind of speed was this? In all fairness, Messiah was both a wind magician and a marksman. Her attributes were superior to Wang Yu in all aspects. However, she definitely couldn't reach such attack speed. That speed required reaction speed. In fact, this was nothing. What frightened Messiah the most was the accuracy of Wang Yu's attacks. Both Wang Yu and the arrows were in a high-speed state. In this state, she was able to catch the arrows at such a high speed. Every arrow was accurately caught. The terrifying degree of accuracy made Messiah, the epic boss, break out in a cold sweat. At the same time, she was glad that she had flown into the sky when the system countdown started. Otherwise, if such a monster had gotten close to her, her ending would have been very tragic. In the blink of an eye, Wang Yu had already passed through Messiah's arrows from 20 meters away and arrived below Messiah. Now that he was below Messiah, Wang Yu was temporarily safe. This was because when he fought against the Dragonblood Spear God, Wang Yu knew that when the boss was flying, the area below him was a blind spot. Of course, Messiah's body couldn't compare to a dragon's, but he was a magician and an archer. No matter which of these two classes it was, he couldn't attack the target below him. Have you ever seen an elegant magician or archer throw skills at his crotch with his eyes closed? Of course, players like Mingdu were an exception. However, elegant creatures like the elves would have to bet the dignity of the elves if they wanted to do such a dirty thing. Even if Messiah didn't have a crotch after losing her target, Messiah immediately realized that Wang Yu was below her. Thinking of this, Messiah immediately felt a chill in her lower body. It must be an illusion, this is. Messiah muttered after a moment of realization. One had to know that Messiah's current vertical height was 10 meters, and the vertical jump of a Grandmaster of Combat was about 1.5 meters. Even if Wang Yu had a 50% jump bonus, he could only jump about 2 meters at most. He was still far from the 10 meters, so Messiah still felt that she was safe. However, at this moment, Messiah suddenly heard the sound of wind behind her. Turning around, she saw Wang Yu appear behind her. Martial artists also know how to fly? This was Messiah's first thought. At the same time, Messiah subconsciously moved to the side, but before Messiah could float half a meter, Wang Yu suddenly stretched out his hand in midair and directly wrapped his hands around Messiah's neck. Messiah was shocked and struggled to break free. Wang Yu coiled her legs and used the old tree roots to hang on Messiah's waist. Then, she contracted her limbs and exerted force from her waist. The two of them flipped in midair and fell to the ground, head down and feet up. After turning upside down, Messiah completely lost her balance. Wang Yu faintly said in Messiah's ear, "It's fun to fly in the sky, right? I'll bring you to play something more fun." As they spoke, the two of them landed. Wang Yu loosened his limbs and gently pushed Messiah, then did a backflip and landed smoothly. Messiah didn't have Wang Yu's ability. With a loud bang, Messiah's head fell to the ground. For someone who fell headfirst, 10 meters was definitely high enough, even for a boss like Messiah. When her head hit the ground, her HP plummeted by 30,000. At the same time, she was stunned. Wang Yu knew that flying bosses were difficult to deal with. After landing, he didn't stop at all. With both legs, he leaped towards Messiah. While Messiah was still stunned, Wang Yu's Thunder Stomp landed on her head, and her HP plummeted by 20,000 again. Messiah had a total of 500,000 HP, but Wang Yu took out 10% of her HP in just 2 moves. If she wasn't the person involved, she wouldn't dare to believe it. After Wang Yu stepped on Messiah's head, he didn't stop. The moment Messiah's stun effect disappeared, Wang Yu's Eagle Stomp followed up. All 3 kicks landed on the back of Messiah's head. Once again, Messiah fell face first. Wang Yu used his knee to press down on Messiah's neck. Just like before, he grabbed Messiah's hair and wanted to beat her up. Messiah, who was in the combat stage, wasn't a weakling who was in the economic stage. Damn it. Messia shouted gloomily. She struggled to wave her hand and pushed Wang Yu to the side. Chapter 527. Wang Yu's necklock wasn't a system skill, and its priority was just a normal attack. Naturally, Wang Yu couldn't suppress it. After Messia flung Wang Yu away, she got up and quickly retreated. When she met Wang Yu, who was chasing after her, she quickly opened up a distance between them. She then drew her bow and nocked an arrow. Immediately, a dozen green arrows flew towards Wang Yu in 3 rows. Arrow Array, a high-level skill of marksman, instantly shoots 3 rows of arrows to attack the target. The arrow array has a knockback effect. From the fact that Messia had released the array arrows without hesitation, it could be seen that this fellow was also a seasoned fighter. Messia didn't hope to kill Wang Yu with this skill. She only hoped to force Wang Yu back. As long as Wang Yu was forced back, Messia would have a chance to fly again. Then, Messia would be prepared. Even if she couldn't kill Wang Yu wouldn't be able to touch her. Of course, Wang Yu also realized this. He definitely wouldn't give Messia a chance to retreat. So when he saw the arrow array flying towards him, he didn't dodge. Instead, he rushed towards it. When the arrow array was about to hit him, Wang Yu changed his weapon to a pole. He pushed off the ground and jumped above the arrow array. He wants to jump over? Messia was stunned. The range of the 3-arrow array was 8 meters. Could this kid jump that far? Naturally, Wang Yu's jumping ability couldn't reach that far. However, with the help of the pole vault, he could still jump 3 to 5 meters. When his body was about to fall, Wang Yu activated Burst Fist and jumped 5 meters, directly above Messia. Messia was shocked. She hurriedly drew her bow with her left hand and pulled the bowstring with her right hand. She wanted to use the bowstring to strangle Wang Yu. Wang Yu used Eagle Step in the air and used his other leg to kick Messia's face. Messia was kicked back 2 steps. At this time, Wang Yu used the second part of Eagle Step to the ground. He pushed his left hand and a chi wave flew towards Messia. At this time, Messia recovered. She waved her hands and a green translucent wind shield bounced off Wang Yu's chi wave. At the same time, Wang Yu flashed and shouted, "Watch my legs!" Messia was shocked and hurriedly used the wind shield in her hands to protect her face. Wang Yu chuckled and reached out with both hands. He grabbed Messia's collar with one hand and grabbed the back of Messia's waist with the other. With a king carries the cauldron version of a knee strike and a grappling throw, Messia once again fell to the ground. Messia looked at the sky, her eyes filled with bewilderment. Collapsing punch, chi wave, knee strike, and eagle stomp. These 4 skills were just the most basic moves of a grandmaster of combat. Wang Yu had so many tricks up her sleeves that it made Messia gasp in awe. In fact, what Messia didn't know was that if it weren't for the system skills, Wang Yu's normal attacks would be even scarier. Messia fell to the ground. Wang Yu's left hand formed a claw and his right hand formed a fist. He bent his waist and punched the ground. Messia lay on the ground and clasped her hands together. She chanted, "Tornado, release." As Messia chanted, 3 tornadoes appeared in front of Messia and flew towards Wang Yu in a fan shape. Tornado was a high-level wind spell. It was the prerequisite for the ultimate wind spell, Wind Dragon Spin. Not only did it have strong attack power and a long range, it also had a knockback effect. Wherever it passed, it could even destroy objects, as expected of a wind spirit. Even high-level spells didn't need to be channeled. Wang Yu was only a foot away from Messia. Faced with 3 1-meter-wide tornadoes, there was no way he could dodge them. He was immediately blown into the sky by the tornadoes. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Messia flipped over and got up. She once again took out her bow and shot at Wang Yu. Wang Yu, who was sent flying, couldn't complete quick recover. He could only twist his body left and right to dodge Messia's arrows. It was unknown if Messia's aim wasn't good enough or if Wang Yu's twisting was effective. Out of the 3 arrows Messia shot, 2 missed. Gulp. Messia looked at Wang Yu in the sky and gulped, secretly wiping the sweat on her forehead. In all her 800 years of life, Messia had never seen such a troublesome guy. His attributes were obviously not high, but he made her feel helpless. Just a moment ago, he had been in a passive state. But now, with his astonishing skills, he had quickly turned the tables, forcing Messia, an epic boss, into a bitter struggle. It seems that this kid didn't rely on luck to pass Arceus's trial. No wonder he said that he loved fighting. Martial artists really aren't easy to deal with, Messia muttered inwardly. Her hands didn't stop moving. Arrows flew towards Wang Yu one after another. Although Wang Yu was able to dodge a few of them, Messia's firing rate was too fast. After a few hits, Wang Yu's HP was reduced to 0. "You're dead," Messia roared when she saw this scene. She pulled her bowstring and shot a barrage of arrows. Her roar was filled with the joy of getting her revenge. "You still have a long way to go." When Wang Yu felt Messia's killing intent in midair, he similarly roared. His internal energy surged, and a blue light instantly dispelled the knockback status. After dispelling the knockback status, Wang Yu's strengthened Thunder Stomp landed on the ground, forcing Messia to take a few steps back. Following which, Wang Yu leaped up. As Messia retreated, she crossed her hands and chanted again, "Tornado, release!" 3 tornadoes flew towards Wang Yu once more. Tornado's trajectory wasn't fast. Seeing the tornado flying towards him, Wang Yu hurriedly braked and jumped back a few times to increase the distance between him and the tornado. A gap appeared between the 3 tornadoes. Wang Yu dodged to the side, just in time to avoid the wind dragon flying towards him. However, Messia's tornadoes did not seem to have cooled down. When she saw Wang Yu dodge, she casually waved her hand, and 3 more tornadoes flew towards Wang Yu. Just as Wang Yu closed the distance between them, he was forced to take a few steps back to avoid the tornadoes. "Hee, you won't be able to come over." When Messia saw that a skill was finally effective against Wang Yu, she laughed and sped up the frequency of her spells. Each tornado had a diameter of 1 meter, and the 3 tornadoes had a diameter of 3 meters. With such a range, it was even more effective than the wind shield. The magic protected Messia tightly, and Wang Yu did not dare to get close. Messia was the embodiment of wind, and she had the Sigh of the Wind skill, which reduced her mana consumption by half. There was no cooldown for wind-type magic, and her casting speed was instantaneous. At this moment, she did not need to do anything else. Messia did not believe that with so many tornadoes, none of them would be able to hit Wang Yu. Faced with Messia's scoundrel fighting style, Wang Yu was truly exhausted. With so many tornadoes, he would be sent flying the moment he touched one. At that time, he would be in a passive position again. Hence, Wang Yu did not dare to get too close to Messia. He could only dodge around 2 meters away from Messia. Although Internal Breath could remove control effects, this skill had a very long cooldown. Even if he could use it again, he would only be able to remove the effects of 1 tornado. However, with Messia's attack speed, he would need to remove at least 2 tornadoes. If he wanted to get close to Messia, he would need to use a silence skill. Otherwise, with Messia's 500,000 mana, she could cast the tornadoes until the end of time. Chapter 528. Silence was a moderately sized control skill. It wasn't very effective against physical damage professions, but it was a disaster for magic professions. Of course, the more stable a control skill was, the better it was. However, it was quite rare for a control skill to be so unstable. Currently, other than the priest's sacred fire, Wang Yu had only seen Exquisite Dream's Shadowbind arrow. The Grandmaster of Combat's skill tree didn't have a silence skill. In order to silence Meisha, the only way for Wang Yu to do so was to stun her. Stun was a type of strong crowd control skill that also had a muting effect. Of course, compared to professional muting skills, the duration of the stun effect was much shorter. However, Wang Yu couldn't get close to Meisha at all, so he couldn't stun her at all. This was quite embarrassing. "How can I stun her?" Wang Yu pondered as he dodged. Seeing that Wang Yu only had the strength to dodge now, Messiah's gloomy mood from being suppressed earlier had eased. She couldn't help but feel proud of herself, and her chanting voice was especially loud. Tornado release. 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 Meisha's chanting gave Wang Yu a headache, and he couldn't help but scold, "Ungentlemanly elf, if you make any more noise I'll block your mouth." Saying this, Wang Yu's mind suddenly lit up. Meow, I've been thinking about how to stun Meisha, but I forgot that the essence of a silent skill was to block her mouth. Meisha heard Wang Yu's threat, and after throwing out 3 tornadoes, she laughed and said, "You can't even get close to me, how can you block me?" Before Meisha could finish her sentence, she suddenly saw a long object pass through the tornadoes. Meisha couldn't dodge in time, and was directly stabbed into her mouth. Meisha's chanting stopped, and the tornadoes stopped as well. Wang Yu's body flashed with a blue light as he passed through the whirlwind and arrived in front of Meisha in an instant along the long rod. His left hand struck Meisha's waist with a fierce tiger strike, while his right hand lifted the rod that was stuck in Meisha's mouth. Meisha whimpered as she was pressed to the ground. "Hey, it's blocked." Wang Yu held the rod with both hands and stuck it in Meisha's mouth to prevent her from chanting. He stepped on Meisha's chest with one foot and kicked his head with the other. The pitiful Meisha was, after all, an epic boss. Yet, she was brutally tortured by Wang Yu. She did not even get a chance to cry out as she transformed into a ball of white light and was sent out of the battlefield. System notification. Perfect completion. You have obtained the title, Heart of the Strong. Heart of the Strong. Attack and defense increased by 20%. System notice. You have obtained 3 titles, Higher, Faster, Stronger. Do you wish to assimilate them? Fuse. Wasn't that obvious? Wasn't he putting in so much effort just for this title? System notification. Fusion complete. You have obtained the title, Son of Wind. Son of Wind. Jump plus 50%, movement speed plus 50%, attack defense plus 20%. This title wasn't bad. Although it didn't increase the attributes of the previous 3 titles, it gathered all the attributes of the 3 titles into one. Moreover, the movement speed of Running with the Wind was limited to non-combat situations. After fusing the title, there was no such restriction. As expected of a title that was only given by a level 60 exclusive mount quest. Just looking at the attributes, it definitely surpassed any title that Wang Yu had seen before. After the title fusion was complete, the system notification once again appeared. Your party has completed the trial quest. The trial will be sent out within 10 seconds. The scene flashed and Wang Yu was sent out. Exquisite Dream was angrily looking at Meisha, her mouth cursing. From the shape of her mouth, it seemed like she was cursing, "Meisha doesn't have a D***CK, or something like that. This girl's curses were really meticulous. Take this." Wang Yu took out the title stone and threw it to Exquisite Dream. Exquisite Dream received it and looked at it, her eyes filled with joy. Wang Yu pointed at Meisha and said, "He told me to give it to you. At least you know what's good for you." Exquisite Dream fiercely glared at Meisha. Meisha did not buy Wang Yu's actions. She still had an expression of "stay away from me" on her face. This was also reasonable. People would hate it if someone interrupted them, let alone someone who actually interrupted them. "I've completed the trial." Wang Yu did not care about Meisha's attitude. Completing the quest and taking the reward was something that should be done. Wang Yu was not afraid of Meisha causing trouble. Meisha casually took out a badge and threw it to Wang Yu. Her face was cold and she did not say a word. System notification. You have obtained the Hurricane Badge. Elven City Honor plus 50. Hurricane Badge. Wind Attack plus 20. Class, General. Item description. Only warriors who are recognized by the Wind Elf Meisha have the chance to obtain this badge. System notification. You have completed the hidden side quest, Thunder and Lightning. You have obtained the special badge, Power of Wind and Lightning. You have fulfilled the requirements to unlock your exclusive mount. Please go to the instructor to unlock it. After the system notification ended, the Hurricane badge in Wang Yu's hand and the Thunder badge on his chest disappeared. In their place was a special badge that was green with sparks of lightning. The design of this badge was very nice. The light flowing was similar to the martial arts class badge. The visual animation was also dynamic. Power of wind and lightning. Wind attack plus 20. Lightning attack plus 20. Skill, wind and lightning rage. Infuses the power of wind and lightning into the user's body. Within 20 seconds, the user's strength will be greatly increased. Attacks will have special effects. Cooldown, 24 hours. Class requirement, Grandmaster of Combat. Bound player, Iron Ox. Cannot be unbound. Item description. Wind and lightning are the first elements of ancient times. They contain endless power. Only the strongest warriors can equip them. A badge that boosts 2 attribute. Other than the word exquisite wouldn't be enough to describe this badge. In particular, the skill Wind and Lightning Rage was practically tailor-made for Wang Yu. Apart from the skill, the most important attribute that affected the judgment between classes was strength. As a Grandmaster of Combat, Wang Yu was often at a disadvantage when it came to strength. He was born with divine strength in real life, but he was always suppressed in the game. This kind of suffocating feeling was hard to understand. This was great. Although he could only enjoy it for 20 seconds in 24 hours, it was much better than giving up in judgment. Happily patting the badge on his chest, Wang Yu couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. He casually kicked the silly Exquisite Dream beside him and asked, "What are you so happy about?" Exquisite Dream displayed the title Son of Wind and said, "See this? The attributes of this title are simply overpowered. My spring has finally come. Oh!" After seeing the exquisite attributes of Wind and Lightning Rage, Wang Yu's heart couldn't even feel a ripple when he looked at the Son of Wind title, then continue. "I'll go back first." Wang Yu waved goodbye to Exquisite Dream. "Where are you going? Yu Huiqing? Come, let's go together." Exquisite Dream hurriedly followed. Chapter 529. What are you going to do? Wang Yu didn't understand. As an archer, Elven City was clearly this girl's base camp. Exquisite Dream said, "I'm going with you to take a look. I'll also take a look at that group of animals." Wang Yu fiercely slapped himself in the face and cursed inwardly, "Who told you to have such a cheap mouth? If you want to go, then go. Why did you say hello? You're such a follower, what? I'm in a hurry to follow you, but you don't look happy." "What do you mean?" Exquisite Dream said unhappily. "It would be strange if I was happy." Wang Yu curled his lips and said, "I'm telling you, when the time comes, you better watch your words. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Linglong Meng's way of speaking was too boorish. Although Wang Yu was not used to it, she could still accept it after a long time. However, if Mu Zixuan were to hear words like, "pulling up your pants and not recognizing me," wouldn't she go crazy? With the Chuanjian group of animals' ability to stir up trouble, even if Mu Zixuan couldn't hear it, they could find a chance to let her hear it. "TSK, your legs and mouth are with me. You can go whenever you want and say whatever you want. Why do you care what I do?" Exquisite Meng said, leaving Wang Yu in the cold. Wang Yu. This woman really made people feel helpless. He wasn't the city lord and couldn't restrict people from entering the city. With a follower, Wang Yu returned to Yu Huiqing and found Old Man Hermit. Hermit saw that Exquisite Dream also had the title Son of the Wind above her head and looked at her in surprise. He then asked in surprise, "Shadow Controller?" "What shit?" Wang Yu was stunned. "Shadow Controller." Linglong Meng carelessly said, "Old man has a good eye. Not bad, not bad. But you're not a fighter hidden profession, so you can't receive missions from me." Hermit said. After listening to Hermit's words, Wang Yu asked with interest, "Do all the hidden professions in the combat department have to look for you to receive their quest rewards?" "That's not it. Don't you understand the principle of proximity? As long as you have a hidden class, you can head to the hidden class NPC instructors in the nearest main city to receive exclusive quests. Otherwise, you'll have to travel tens of thousands of miles just to receive a quest. After Hermit finished his explanation, he said disdainfully, "How could we be in cahoots with that kind of game?" Wang Yu said, "Yup, you guys don't scam cards, only money." Ahem, alright, let's not talk about this. Have you completed the mission? Hermit coughed awkwardly and changed the topic. It's done. Wang Yu revealed the title of Son of Wind. As expected of my student. Well done. Hermit smiled as he sent a ray of light into Wang Yu's body. System notification. You have completed. Obtained reward. Exclusive mount system. Following the system notification, an exclusive mount column appeared on Wang Yu's mount column in the most eye-catching position. It said, "Exclusive mount not equipped." Alright, scram. After opening the exclusive mount column, Hermit waved his hand to chase Wang Yu away. Wang Yu got up and was about to leave when he suddenly thought of something. He hurriedly turned around and asked, "What about my Qinggong?" "Ugh, you're still thinking about it?" "Nonsense. What do you think?" Wang Yu was furious. They were already so familiar with each other, but Old Man Hermit was still like this. If he could scam him, then he would scam him. Fortunately, he reacted quickly. Otherwise, the next time he came to look for this guy, he would definitely not acknowledge it. In the words of an NPC, this is something that we scammed with our own abilities. Why should we return it to you? Fine, fine, fine. Here. Hermit took out a green book and said, "I was just joking with you. Look at how stingy you are. Would I scam your reward?" TSK. Wang Yu took the Qinggong and snorted in disdain. With an NPC's character, scamming a reward was a small matter. He equipped the Qinggong to the exclusive mount column, and the attributes of the Qinggong were displayed. Riding Wind. Rare item, Qinggong, Riding Wind. Movement speed increased by 300%. Costs 2 Qinggong points per second. Riding Wind. Under the Riding Wind state, the user can jump 4 times at an astonishing speed. Each jump is 200% of the user's highest jump height. Costs 20 Qinggong points per jump. Costs 2 Qinggong points per second. Leaping roofs and vaulting walls. A skill exclusive to the hidden profession Cloud Treader and martial arts scholars. When in the state of Wind Rider, the user can hang and climb obstacles in the scenery. A hanging consumes 1 point of lightness skill per second. Exclusive mount. Does not dismount during battle. Exclusive to Grandmasters of Combat. Can use all skills under the Riding Wind state. Riding Wind Strike, mount skill. Deals a fatal blow to the enemy while moving at high speed. Costs 500 MP cooldown time. 50 seconds. Force of Wind and Thunder. Under the effect of the badge, the Qinggong points cost is halved. Qinggong points. The cost of the Grandmaster of Combat's Qinggong state. Current Qinggong points are 1200. Increases by 30 Qinggong points per level. Originally, Wang Yu was quite satisfied with the attributes of the Qinggong, but the Qinggong points made Wang Yu a little confused. A normal mount's movement speed was increased by 200%, and a exclusive mount's increased by 300%. These attributes were all the same. The only difference was that the Qinggong actually had a cost. The exclusive mounts of other professions didn't have this feature. 1200 Qinggong points could only run for 10 minutes. With the force of Wind and Thunder, it could only run for 20 minutes at most. In the map of Rebirth, a mere 20 minutes with 300% movement speed couldn't even finish running a main city's jungle. In comparison, the Qinggong points were simply a trap for Grandmasters of Combat. However, after looking at the attributes under Qinggong, Wang Yu also understood why there was a cost for Qinggong. Firstly, the exclusive mounts of other professions were external forces. Qinggong was the player's own running speed, so it was normal that they couldn't outrun animals. Secondly, the riding wind attribute wasn't just a simple jump. A normal Grandmaster of Combat's jumping ability was 1.5 meters, but Wang Yu's jumping ability was a full 3 meters with the help of his equipment and title. Under the riding wind state, it was 6 meters. Quadruple jump would be a full 24 meters. In addition to leaping onto roofs and vaulting over walls, a Grandmaster of Combat would definitely be able to fly across most scenes in the game with the limited Qinggong point. At the same speed, the difference between flying and walking was not just a little bit. Taking the city as an example, a Grandmaster of Combat with Qinggong could just jump over the city wall, while other professions would have to take a detour. From this point, it was enough to see the advantage of Qinggong. Also, while other classes could only use mount skills when mounted, Grandmasters of Combat could use all skills other than mount skills. Although it was not beneficial to use many skills if the speed was too high, it was definitely one of the advantages of Qinggong. Chapter 530. As Wang Yu was admiring his Qinggong attributes, the system sent another notification. Your emblem, Wind and Thunder Power, can activate a Qinggong quest. Please ask your class instructor for clues. Emblem? A Qinggong quest? Wang Yu was stunned. Didn't he already have a Qinggong quest? Why would there be a Qinggong quest? Does it have something to do with the emblem? Thinking up to this point, Wang Yu took off the emblem and handed it to Hermit, asking, "Teacher, do you recognize this item?" Hermit squinted his eyes as he looked at the emblem. Surprise flashed in his eyes as he extended his hand, saying, "Let me see, just look at it." Wang Yu said cautiously. Right now, he didn't dare to casually hand over an item to an NPC. If he handed it over, he definitely wouldn't be able to get it back. How stingy. Do you think I'd steal something that's bound to you? Hurry up and hand it over. Saying so, Hermit extended his hand to grab it. With Hermit's full strength, his attack speed was so fast that a level 40 weakling like Wang Yu couldn't dodge. Hermit immediately snatched the emblem away. Sure enough, it's Wind and Thunder Power. You completed the Titan and Elf trials? Hermit asked excitedly. Wang Yu nodded. Good, good, good. Hermit said excitedly. After so many years, another peerless genius has finally appeared. It seems that you really are worthy of the title of martial scholar. Of course, Wang Yu said without the slightest hint of modesty. If it were any other aspect, Wang Yu would definitely be modest. However, when it came to martial arts, Wang Yu had absolute confidence and pride. If he couldn't be considered a martial scholar, then others definitely couldn't be. Actually, your Qinggong is exclusive to martial scholars. Currently, it's only an incomplete version, Hermit said. After hearing the scripture Hermit's explanation, Wang Yu realized that the Qinggong he was equipped with was actually passed down by the legendary martial god. Apart from riding the wind, the other half of the Qinggong was called controlling thunder. As Grandmasters of Combat were born without the advantage of weapons, the class had high requirements for its inheritors, especially the most important Qinggong. The requirements were even stricter. To learn an exclusive Qinggong, one must be able to control Wind and Thunder Rider. People with this kind of aptitude were hard to come by in 1,000 years. Even if they met one, they would not waste their energy on such a hopeless profession. In order to let this profession be passed down, the war god divided Qinggong into two parts, wind riding and thunder riding. Compared to the power of lightning, the power of wind was easier to control. Therefore, only riding wind was passed down. As for controlling thunder, it had long disappeared with the disappearance of the martial god. I can't believe that I'll be able to see someone who can control the force of wind and lightning in my lifetime. Hermit's eyes were brimming with tears. Since you're so excited, is there a reward? Wang Yu asked. Hearing Wang Yu ask for a reward, Hermit immediately returned to his normal expression and said, There's no reward, but there's a quest. System notification. You have activated Qinggong Quest, Wind Rider. Do you accept? Is there a time limit for this quest? Wang Yu asked after some hesitation. No. Hermit shook his head. Is there a penalty for failure? No. Hermit continued to shake his head. Alright, then I'll accept it. Wang Yu clicked accept. System notification. You have accepted Qinggong Quest, Wind Rider. Find the legendary Qinggong Thunder Rider. Quest reward. Martial Scholars exclusive Qinggong. That's it? Any clues? Wang Yu looked at the quest panel and asked blankly. There wasn't even a hint or a location. How could it be called a quest? He was completely clueless. The world of Rebirth was so big. Without clues, it would be difficult to find a person, let alone an item that couldn't speak. Hermit said irresponsibly, If there are clues, then you don't have to look for it. Come find me when you find it. Wang Yu was speechless. He closed the quest panel. Anyway, Wind Rider was enough. As for the exclusive Qinggong, he would leave it for now. It was all up to luck when he found it. If he really tried to find it, he probably wouldn't find it in his entire life. After leaving the alley, Wang Yu shouted in the Chuanjin channel, Where are you guys? Drinking at the tavern. Everyone answered in unison. Usually at this time, the Chuanjin members would have finished clearing their daily dungeons and quests. It wasn't a good time to level up, so everyone would run to the tavern to get to know each other. Of course, these bastards were definitely not trying to get to know each other. In any case, before Yang Na entered Chuanjin, they rarely met up. What about you? Are you done with the quest? Wu Ji asked. I'm done. I even brought a friend with me, Wang Yu said. A man or a woman? To place one's pride, and the others asked anxiously. In the past, there were only men in Chuanjin. Ever since Wang Yu joined Chuanjin, the ratio of men to women in Chuanjin had reached 3-2. Other than Mu Zixian, who was already taken, the rest were all single and beautiful. Such a godly person had long been secretly called a peach blossom baby by a group of bastards. Wang Yu looked at the sloppy exquisite dream beside him and said, A woman. A woman? Uncle Nyo, come quickly. Is she beautiful? To place one's pride asked impatiently. Yes. Although exquisite dream had a personality flaw, it had to be said that she was definitely not ugly. After all, looks could be changed in the game. Yeah, long live Brother Iron Ox, old cow. Chun Xiang and Mingdu high-fived. Who? What's her name? Do I know her? At this moment, Mu Zixian, who had been lurking around for thousands of years, suddenly spoke up. The atmosphere in the channel instantly turned cold. Wife, you're here. Wang Yu wiped his sweat. It seemed that Mu Zixian wasn't busy and was peeking at the side. What? Hoping that I'm not here? Mu Zixian said in an unfriendly tone. No. This lady is called Exquisite Dream. She's an old friend of Wuji's. Wang Yu said truthfully. Oh, I'm just asking. After saying that, Mu Zixian went back into peeking mode. Little Meng? Aunt Meng. Hearing Exquisite Dream's name, to place one's pride and Chun Xiang's expressions changed. They stared at Wuji with an unfriendly expression and said, You knew that she was coming. Why didn't you tell us? Wuji held his wine glass and smiled without saying a word. Aunt Meng? What nonsense are you talking about? Kids should watch less unhealthy things. Wang Yu lectured. About that, I still have a mission. I'll be leaving first. Chun Xiang hurriedly said. Mingdu added, Me too. There's a beauty asking me to patrol the street. You guys chat first. I'm going with Brother Chun to do a mission. To place one's pride also stood up. This old man's mission is a solo mission. Chun Xiang, your grandpa, Baiming Yu, Yin Lao Er, and the other rookies were confused. They wondered who this person was, to actually scare the three famous troublemakers of Chuanjin to this extent. Wait a bit. I'm already at the door. After saying that, Wang Yu pushed open the door and walked into the tavern. Seeing the lady behind Wang Yu, Chun Xiang and the other two were so scared that they fell on their chairs. Chapter 531. Oh, you're all here. Exquisite Dream saw Wuji and the rest the moment she entered. Wuji waved his hand at Exquisite Dream. You're here. Yes. Linglong Meng swaggered over and shouted, Dachuan, why are you hiding under the table? Let me pet your little chick, see if it's grown up. Ming, you're getting uglier and uglier. I like it when you're this ugly. The three's faces turned ashen. The others hurriedly stood up and hid to the side to watch. Their faces were filled with curiosity toward Exquisite Dream. Ming Jian, Dao Xue, and Bao San quietly explained to the confused newcomers, this person is famous for being a female hooligan. These three fellows have been ruined by her. When the two of them explained, they deliberately emphasized the word ruined to make people's imagination run wild. However, from the three's horrified behavior, the meaning of the two words was definitely deeper than the literal meaning. Not bad, you're quite a deterrent. Wang Yu followed behind Exquisite Dream and gave her a thumbs up. Chun Xiang and the other two were either wretched, despicable, or unruly little brat. The three of them were usually the most mischievous. Not to mention others, even experts like Wang Yu, who had deterrence power, did not receive much respect from them. Seeing Linglong Meng being so frightened at this moment, Wang Yu was extremely shocked. Look at what you're saying. It's a meeting between old friends, it's only right to be more enthusiastic. Exquisite Dream said as she walked to the table, scaring Mingdu and the other two into a corner, causing them to shiver. At this time, Wuji tried to smooth things over. Alright, don't scare them. Humph. Exquisite Dream glanced at Wuji and coldly snorted, ignoring Mingdu and the other two. Let me formally introduce you. This is Exquisite Dream, an old friend of Chuanjin. Wuji pointed at Exquisite Dream and introduced her to the newcomers and Wang Yu. However, her IQ is a little low, so she has never passed the Chuanjin test. Your sister. Linglong Meng glared at Wuji. Well, it's not that high. Her attribute points are added to intelligence, Wang Yu affirmed. Even Wang Yu knew that archers needed to increase their agility, but Exquisite Dream, an experienced player, had chosen to increase her intelligence. This wasn't low intelligence, it was plain stupid. This old lady saw wrongly. Linglong Alliance tried to explain. Wuji chuckled. It's mainly to make up for your shortcomings. Exquisite Dream placed the crossbow in her hand on the table. If you want to die, just say it. Wuji tactfully kept his mouth shut. Exquisite Dream was a person who hung out with Wuji and the others before Chuanjin was established. This girl had the best relationship with the first boss of Chuanjin, Dugu Ling. At that time, Exquisite Dream's mechanics were decent, but due to her personality, her strength wasn't that great, so not many people knew of her. But to the Quanjin sect, this young lady was their teacher. Although Linglong Yu was a young lady, she had the air of a hoodlum. Mingdu's unreasonable behavior, Chun Xiang's wretchedness, and the Quanjin sect's bandit-like temperament were all tempered by this young lady. Of course, this girl had the air of a gangster, but her IQ wasn't that high. It was a pity that she wasn't like Chuanjin, who had developed many of her annoying traits. Besides, it wasn't a bad thing for a girl to act like a gangster in a game. When a beautiful person like Exquisite Dream acted like a gangster, others would find it cute. When an ugly person like Mingdu acted like a gangster, others would find it disgusting. After a round of introductions, the newcomers had a basic understanding of Exquisite Dream. They couldn't help but sigh. It turned out that this harmless girl was the source of Chuanjin's evil. Apart from that, Yang Na worshipped this girl. Sister Meng, how did you do it? To be able to bring out a group of evil people like Chuanjin, and even take care of the three big troublemakers, this was a godlike existence in Yang Na's heart. When Exquisite Dream saw that there was a female player in Chuanjin, her expression became even more excited. She said in an extremely wretched manner, "If there's time, we can have an in-depth discussion." Seeing his expression, everyone from the Chuanjin sect felt a chill run down their spines. Other than the adorable Yang Na, even a pure person like Wang Yu could tell how wretched Ling Longmeng's so-called in-depth discussion was. Since the higher-ups were strict with their investigations, Uncle Nyo didn't elaborate any further. Everyone understood what he meant. All right, Old Meng, you should calm down. She doesn't have your dirty thoughts. Wuji interrupted Exquisite Dream. Is that so? Then how did she enter Chuanjin? Exquisite Dream didn't understand. When everyone heard this, they realized that in the past, Chuanjin had a rule that only those with good character could enter. Wuji looked up at Wang Yu and said, "Here, he brought her in, heh." Exquisite Dream chuckled. "Speaking of which, where did you find such a treasure? You haven't seen how powerful he is." "We have," everyone in Chuanjin said in unison. "Lend me to play for 2 days?" Exquisite Dream asked again. Wuji sweated profusely. "Do you think he'll listen to me? You're such a coward." Exquisite Dream looked at Wuji with disdain. "Nonsense." Wuji ignored Exquisite Dream's mockery. Wuji had never seen a character like Wang Yu who wasn't a coward in front of him. "How about this? I'll take a loss and lend you guys to play for a few days. Hurry up and bring me to the meeting," Exquisite Dream said. Spring Soaring Mingdu's expression was cold as he lightly shook his head. At the same time, he sent a private message. 100 gold. 500. F***CK. If you have the ability, then let her play us to death. System notification. Exquisite Dream has joined Chuanjin and become a member of the big family. The three of them sent a message to Wuji in unison. "What the F***CK? You're really going to let her go to the meeting?" Wang Yu said in surprise. "What? You don't want to?" Exquisite Dream moved closer to Wang Yu. Wang Yu hurriedly dodged to the other side of the table and said, "Your legs and mouth are all on you. How can I control you? However, stay away from me. Otherwise, I'll kill you." Are you threatening me?" Exquisite Dream slammed the table. Wuji tried to dissuade her. "Don't mess around. He really dares." When Exquisite Dream heard Wang Yu's words, she suddenly recalled Meisha's expression, as if she had just eaten feces, after Wang Yu had threatened Meisha. Immediately, her heart trembled. Damn, this bastard's actions were vicious. He could even threaten a boss. Humph, heartless bastard. If I knew this would happen, I would have let little Lu listen to the spring rain pour dirty water on you. I wouldn't have cared, Exquisite Dream cursed. Seeing the awkward atmosphere, Wuji once again changed the topic. "I heard you beat up Nian Luyun?" "Yes." "How did you know?" Wang Yu asked curiously. Wang Yu beating up Nian Luyun had only happened recently. At that time, the onlookers were all Nian Luyun's fans. Wang Yu did not believe that the news had spread so quickly that even Yu Huiqing's people knew about it. Chapter 532. When Wang Yu and Nian Luyun fought one-on-one, it was broadcasted live by the bystanders. Other cities might not know about it, but Thunderstorm City and Yu Huiqing were definitely the first to hear about it. After all, most of Wang Yu's diehard fans were Yu Huiqing's players, and Nian Luyun's fans, in order to provoke them, put up the live video in several cities, including Yu Huiqing. Not long after the live video was put up, it quickly became the topic of conversation for many of Yu Huiqing's players. In a place with so many people like the tavern, it naturally could not be hidden from Chuanjin and the others. Who's so nosy? Why did he post it on the forum? Wang Yu couldn't help but cry out. There was a saying that sparring behind closed doors and taking in disciples. Nian Luyun was different from ordinary players. Nian Luyun was a martial artist, and victory or defeat was related to the reputation of the two families. Therefore, sparring between martial artists was usually done in private, and it was called challenging the school. Wang Yu's act of beating someone up and posting it on the forum was a blatant slap in the face. The Li family was also a large family. Wouldn't they explode after being humiliated like this? Even if Wang Yu wasn't afraid, It would make the Wang family seem arrogant and insensible if word got out. What? You're going to show mercy to someone like that? Exquisite Dream asked curiously. When Wang Yu and Nian Luyun fought, Exquisite Dream was also there. She saw Nian Luyun's actions, so she didn't think that there was anything wrong with what Wang Yu did. No, this isn't about showing mercy. Before Wang Yu could explain, Yang Na came out and explained to Exquisite Dream. What nonsense are you talking about? Why are you talking in your sleep in the middle of the day? Exquisite Dream was dumbfounded when she heard Yang Na talk about martial arts and aristocratic families. The people of the Chuanjin sect looked at Wang Yu in horror. They said, "Damn it! Could it be that some people from a martial arts clan have come knocking on our door?" In the past, these people from the Quanjin sect were also fearless people. But ever since they got to know Wang Yu, they finally understood what it meant by "there's always someone better than you out there." Ordinary people were nothing in the eyes of people like Wang Yu. Even a martial arts practitioner was so difficult to deal with. Based on what Yang Na said, Nian Luyun was a member of a prestigious clan. Prestigious clans? From the name alone, it was clear that there were more than one or two of them. Perhaps there were at least 100 of them. This was several times more dangerous than breaking the three evils manor apart. "I'm not afraid if they come knocking on our door. When the time comes, we'll just slaughter them one by one. I'm just afraid that this matter will get out of hand. Actually, our family can be considered as longtime friends with their family." Wang Yu scratched his head gloomily. "I'll kill whoever comes." The Quanjin group was stunned. Only Wang Yu could say such arrogant words. "They probably came knocking on our door for the sake of face, right?" asked Wu Ji. "Of course. In our line of work, face is more important than life." Wang Yu sighed. This wasn't Wang Yu deliberately exaggerating. They were all from large clans that had been passed down for many years. They were born with a sense of mission. The honor of their clan was above everything else. It wasn't unheard of for them to sacrifice their own sons for the sake of their clan's reputation. Then it should be fine. Wu Ji let out a long sigh of relief. "Why?" Wang Yu said in a daze. The video of Nian Luyun being abused had been posted online. Wasn't that a huge loss of face? How could it be fine? Because watching a fish underwater will confuse right and wrong. Wu Ji spread his hands and said, "Other than those of us who are familiar with you and your fans, many people on the internet are questioning the authenticity of the video. Even if there's a video and the truth, they can still question it?" Wang Yu was speechless. "What do you think?" Wu Ji glanced at Wang Yu and said, "As soon as the video was released, watching a fish underwater led a bunch of Smurfs to the forum to distort the truth. They said that Nian Luyun was plotted against by you, and then deliberately filmed a video to please the public." F***ck. Wang Yu was enraged. Someone F***king believed that? Although Wang Yu didn't want to publicize this matter, which young person wasn't competitive. Winning or losing was a sure thing, but in the end, he ended up with a reputation for being shameless and despicable. No one could stand it. Nian Luyun is handsome, knows how to promote, and has a lot of brainless fans. Unlike you, an expired internet celebrity is worse than a dog. "Am I not handsome?" "You're more manly than him," Wu Ji said. Wang Yu was speechless for a moment. He asked again, "Isn't there someone else who filmed the video? Didn't they explain?" There was, but watching a fish underwater put the blame on them. They said that the person who recorded the video was in cahoots with you. They were the ones who injured Nian Luyun with you, and then filmed the video, Wu Ji replied. F***ck. That be **tc. Wang Yu was so angry that he almost laughed. He thought that the people from Chuanjin were shameless and despicable enough, but he didn't expect there to be people who were even worse than them. Wu Ji said helplessly, "Yeah, that guy is very despicable. If it wasn't for their fierce internal strife, even we would have been in trouble. Poor Lingzi, she was tricked and even got the bad name of marriage fraud." Wang Yu was speechless again. He had heard a little about Duguling on the way back from Linglong Meng. For a girl, this was undoubtedly the biggest blow. Speaking of which, didn't you guys explain it back then? Nonsense. Your friend was dumped, and she was covered in dirty water. Would you go around and announce it? Mingdu said disdainfully. Wang Yu glared at Mingdu and said, That depends on who? Mingdu said, What if it's me? Post it on the forums and hire someone to post it. Wang Yu said, Good thing I don't have a wife. Mingdu said, giggling. TSK. Wang Yu pointed his middle finger at Mingdu and said, Although that B** TCH is shameless, it saves me a lot of trouble. If I have the chance to see him again, I will kill him 100 times to take revenge for your friend. That's good. Right? Do you have time now? Let's go to Heavenly Dragon City to kill a boss. Wuji asked Wang Yu. When they were in the dungeon, Wuji had tricked Dugu Jiuqiang, a flower demon boss. Dugu Jiuqiang was not a good person. If he didn't go quickly, he would definitely renege on his debt. So, when Wang Yu returned, Wuji mentioned this matter to prevent any more problems. Wang Yu looked at the time and said, Tomorrow. It's getting late. I should log off. Linglong Meng looked at the time and said, What do you mean it's getting late? It's not even 6 yet. What do you know? As she spoke, Wang Yu's figure faded and she went offline. Damn, what's wrong with that guy? Linglong Meng pointed at the place where Wang Yu disappeared and cursed. 6 was the golden time of the game. To log off at this time, this person really did play the game as he pleased. Wuji spread his hands and said, He's just like that. He has to accompany his wife at night. Wife-slave useless. Not long after Wang Yu left, the number of players in the game gradually increased. Quan Zhen and the others were about to leave when an orc player pushed open the door and walked into the tavern. He asked, Is there a person called Iron Ox here? The orc's voice was not loud and was deep, but it gave off a strong feeling. Chapter 533. The orc was tall and mighty. He was half a head taller than Wang Yu, who was 1.8 meters tall. Height could be changed in the game, so people over 2 meters could be seen everywhere. Therefore, no one paid much attention to the orc's stature. The main thing was that the orc looked to be around 40 to 50 years old. He had the air of an old man, which surprised everyone. Online games were mainly targeted at young people. It wasn't as if the elderly didn't play, but people in their 40s and 50s prioritized their careers. They felt that playing games was a waste of their time. Therefore, there weren't many older players in the game. The orc had a square head and a wide mouth. His equipment was simple, and he wore a pair of old boxing gloves. His green skin and sharp fangs made him look ferocious. His fiery red hair made him look very non-mainstream. If you didn't look at his face, you wouldn't think that he was actually an uncle. Where did this alt account come from? His equipment isn't even level 10 yet. The boxing gloves were actually given to him by the system. Mingdu and to place one's pride commented as they inspected the orc's equipment. Are you his friends? Bring him to me. The orc said as he walked to the table of the Chuanjian group and sat down. The orc's words were filled with a commanding tone that couldn't be questioned. Everyone was stunned again. If it wasn't for the fact that they had inspected the orc more than 10 times, which showed that he was a level 10 alt account, they would have thought that he was a max-level expert. Why are you looking for him? Wuji saw that the orc was old and didn't want to lose his temper, so he asked patiently. The orc said calmly, You don't have to worry about that. Hurry up and bring him to me. His tone was still unquestionable. These guys from Chuanjian were extremely stubborn. They had played the game for a long time, but they had never met anyone who dared to speak to them in such a tone, especially when the other party was only a level 10 alt account. Moreover, it was in front of the ladies. This made them feel embarrassed. Who do you think you are? The young man opposite the orc, to place one's pride, was the first to jump up. He stepped on the table and punched the orc. The orc frowned and took a step back, picking up a chair beside him. Before To Place One's Pride could hit him, the orc smashed the chair onto To Place One's Pride's head. To Place One's Pride was directly slammed onto the table in mid-air. The wine glasses on the table fell to the ground. The beastman's actions shocked everyone from the Quanjun sect so much that they stood up from their seat. The orc's attack did not deal a lot of damage, only a few dozen. However, the orc's attack was ruthless, accurate, and steady. It was definitely something no one had ever seen before. The people from Chuanjin had been with Wang Yu for a long time. Naturally, their judgment was much higher than the average person's. The orc's attack was not inferior to Wang Yu's, and far surpassed evildoers' run wilds. To Place One's Pride was not a weakling. Moreover, his level was almost 30 levels higher than the orc. With the difference in attributes, equipment, and skills, any level 40 expert would be an invincible existence in the level 10 novice circle. To Place One's Pride, however, with such a huge difference, the orc had instantly smashed Place One's Pride to the ground. This visual effect was simply too shocking. "You're still so hot-tempered, kid. If you were my son, I would have beaten you half to death with my temper 10 years ago." The orc nagged. To Place One's Pride was humiliated to the point that his face turned red. Although he had suffered a loss because he had underestimated his opponent, he could feel that this orc was not normal. To Place One's Pride was not afraid of losing to this orc due to the difference in levels and equipment. However, To Place One's Pride was still an expert. If he was defeated by a level 10 alt account, he would already become a laughingstock. If he became angry and fought a level 10 alt account alone, there would be no glory in winning. If he lost, it would be even more shameful. Would he still have any face left in the future? To Place One's Pride calmed down and sat back down. He mumbled in the channel, "He's an expert, hee." Everyone laughed coldly. To Place One's Pride was greatly embarrassed. "It's true. If you don't believe me, why don't you give it a try?" To Place One's Pride had been defeated. Of course, the others would not take the initiative to embarrass themselves. Wu Ji smiled and said, "Children don't know any better, please don't laugh at us. We don't even know who you are, so how could we casually divulge information about our friends, don't you think so?" "Yup." The orc nodded, "That's true. This old man will not change his name." Before the orc could finish his sentence, Bao San and Yin Lao Er suddenly lifted the table and sent it flying towards the orc. The orc raised his hand and smashed the table with his Do Chi. The tavern was the most important scam scene in Rebirth. The tables, chairs, and even the windows and doors of the tavern could only be described in one word: scam. Any attack skill would be able to destroy it. The orc's fist smashed the table into pieces. "Kids, let's do a sneak attack." The orc stood up and was about to attack Wuji and the others when the tavern owner pounced over and grabbed the orc tightly, crying, "Pay for my table." The tavern owner had the protection of the system. If he did not pay, even a max-level player would not be able to escape if he caught him. A table in the tavern cost a few gold coins. The orc's newbie equipment obviously could not afford it, so he was held tightly by the tavern owner. Seeing that the orc was caught by the tavern owner, Wuji waved his hand and said to the others, "Let's go." Everyone smiled sinisterly and left the tavern owner under the orc's gaze. The orc flew into a rage and punched the tavern owner's head, smashing the tavern owner. Then, he waved his hands and shouted, "Help, someone is smashing the tavern." Hearing the commotion, everyone in the tavern owner was stunned. They stared at the orc without blinking. Who is this old man? Why is he so fierce? Who knows? He must be tired of living. The tavern was a property of the system and was protected by the main city guards. It was obvious what would happen to those who dared to beat up the tavern owner. The orc was so fierce that he was immediately respected as a true warrior. The next moment 2 guards rushed in and stabbed the orc with their spears. The orc had just broken free from the tavern owner and rolled to the side to the window. Then, He jumped through the window and ran out. The two guards followed closely behind, creating two human-shaped holes in the tavern owner's wall. The tavern was in chaos. Chuanjun and the others were on the street at the moment. They were all dumbfounded when they saw the orc owner run out of the city with the two guards. Damn, this old man is fierce. Yeah, he looks so similar to our Ronin. Is he a relative of his? Mingdu said as he looked at the orc owner's burly back. To place one's pride said disdainfully, relative my ass. It's most likely Nianlian's family who is here to seek revenge. Wuji, if you meet such people in the future, beat them to death. To place one's pride could tell that he had a strong opinion of the orc owner. Yang Na looked at the orc owner's back as he ran on the street and muttered to herself, Huh? Why does this back look so familiar? Is he really here for revenge? Chapter 534. Wuji made an appointment with Wang Yu to fight the Flower Demon boss the next day. The next morning, after finishing his work, Wuji hurriedly went online to wait for Wang Yu. Just as he arrived at the tavern, Wuji saw the orc from yesterday sitting at the table reserved for Chuanjun's members, drinking. Huh! Wuji frowned. Looking at the orc's appearance, he must have lost money. Otherwise, he wouldn't be sitting peacefully in the tavern, drinking. After beating up the tavern's owner and nearly destroying the tavern, Shi Feng had to pay at least 100 gold coins. Even level 30 experts only had 1,000 gold coins in their bank account. How could a level 10 smurf have so much money? Looking at the orc's equipment, Wuji's eyebrows jumped. Damn, this old man was just wearing tattered clothes yesterday. Today, he actually changed into a set of top-tier equipment. Even the worst equipment was full silver attribute. Even first-rate experts wouldn't receive such treatment. Did I meet a super-rich player? Wuji's expression became complicated. Nowadays, high-tiered equipment was rare. High-tiered equipment for low-tiered equipment was even more priceless. To be able to equip himself like this in one night, could this old man be the boss of a game company? His skills were already so amazing, and he was even a rich player. This guy was even more difficult to deal with than a boss. Why are you looking at me? I'm here to ask you something. At this time, the orc suddenly turned his head and said to Wuji, his tone still as aggressive as before. Wuji was shocked. Being able to sense someone's gaze from behind, this was Wang Yu's ability. This old man really had some skill. Wuji quickly walked over and sat beside the orc. He smiled and said, Yesterday's matter was purely a misunderstanding. If you have something to say, please say it. The orc clearly didn't want to discuss yesterday's matter with Wuji. Instead, he arrogantly asked, Where is Iron Ox? You can give me his phone number. Wuji scratched his head and said, That's not a good idea. This is a personal matter. I think you should think of another way. Yes. Think of something or I'll kill you. The orc uncle clenched his fist. To place one's pride was defeated by this old man even with his trash. Wuji had no doubt that this old man could kill him without even using his skills. He whispered, Sir, do you know what it means to add a friend? This old man knew Wang Yu's ID. Any normal player would be able to add him as a friend. Wuji did this so that Wang Yu and the old man could communicate. They wouldn't meet each other without knowing each other. Add a friend? The orc uncle was stunned and asked Wuji, How do I add? Open the handshake sign on the interface. There's a plus sign on it, and then you can enter the name of the person you're looking for. Wuji said while wiping his sweat. As expected, this old man was also a gaming idiot. What's your name? The orc uncle asked Wuji. Wuji. Yes. The orc nodded and began to daydream. Wuji knew that he was typing. At this moment, the system sent a message. Iron Ox's father added you as a friend. Do you accept? Pfft. Wuji spat out a mouthful of blood. Sir, your name isn't appropriate. Why isn't it appropriate? The old orc widened his eyes and glared at him. You'll be beaten to death. Wuji said. Wuji knew Wang Yu the best. Although Wang Yu was usually cheerful and silly, once he crossed the kid's bottom line, he would definitely let the other party know what cruelty was. Back then, Wang Yu twisted the arms and legs like fried dough twist. Even now, Wuji trembled when he thought about it. This old man's name was so arrogant. Wuji had no doubt that Wang Yu would twist this guy's head off. "I'll see who dares?" the old man said arrogantly. "I'll twist his head off." Wuji was speechless. "Fine, you're awesome. Whatever you say." As time passed, Mingdu and Chun Xiang also came online. When they came to the tavern and saw the orc uncle, their expressions were exactly the same as Wuji's. The orc uncle also invited the two to sit down. He had no intention of fighting. He asked for their names and used his newly learned skills to add Chun Xiang and Mingdu as friends. Seeing the orc's name, the two were excited. They even gave a thumbs up and said, "Good name. Bold." Wang Yu usually came online early. Every day when Wuji and the others came online, Wang Yu would train alone. Wang Yu had just learned Qigong and was familiarizing himself with it in the training area. Suddenly, a system notification popped up. "Iron Ox's father has requested to add you as a friend. Do you accept? Note, I'm your father." Wang Yu was stunned when he saw the message. As an expert in rebirth, Wang Yu was under a lot of pressure. He had a lot of fans, but he didn't have many haters. Wang Yu had received quite a few harassing messages like this before, but today, this B***starred had the guts to use his ID like this. He was simply tired of living. There was no such thing as a smurf account in Rebirth, and there was no tool to change one's name. Choosing such a name meant that one would have to use it for the rest of one's life. Offending the #1 expert in the game was definitely not a big deal. To specially buy a tool to scold Wang Yu, this bastard was really rich. Without hesitation, Wang Yu rejected the request and replied, "I'm your father." According to the usual routine, the player on the other side would definitely curse, but this guy did not. He only replied, "Little bastard, I'm at the Yu Huiqing Tavern. Get over here." Wang Yu wanted to ignore him, but Wuji also sent a private message to Wang Yu. "Someone is looking for you. His name is very arrogant." Wang Yu's eyes widened as he replied, "Just you wait." It was not uncommon to scold Wang Yu, but this guy was the first one who dared to leave his address after scolding Wang Yu. Wang Yu was instantly enraged. He threw down the monster in his hand, activated his Qigong, and ran towards the city. At this time, everyone in Xuanzhen, except for Wang Yu, had arrived. They sat neatly in front of the table and looked at the orc without saying a word. In their eyes, the orc was already a dead man. "Sir, what else would you like to drink?" Mingdu asked the orc. "Give me a glass of your most expensive wine." The orc did not hold back at all. Mingdu also felt that it was reasonable. "All right, boss, give me a glass of your most expensive wine," Mingdu shouted at the owner of the tavern. The orc laughed and said, "Not bad, not bad. I admire you. Out of so many people, you're the only sensible one." At this time, Mingdu looked behind the orc and said with a smile, "Do you know why I'm so sensible?" "Why?" the orc asked curiously. "Because if you drink this, you won't have another meal." Before Mingdu could answer, a cold voice floated from behind the orc. "Oh? Is that so?" The orc smiled and turned his head to look at Wang Yu. You. When Wang Yu saw the orc's appearance, his face turned pale. He said with a trembling voice, Dad, why are you here?" Chapter 535. Dad? Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. "Is he really your dad?" "I guarantee it." Comrade Lao Wang angrily asked, "What? Don't you think so?" Everyone quickly said, "Yes, you look like him, but your hairstyle and ID are more arrogant than old cows." They were not idiot. Who dared to say they didn't look like him? Even all the people in the tavern combined would not be enough to defeat these two. Yang Na suddenly reacted and said, I was wondering why you look so familiar. So it's you. In reality, Lao Wang and Wang Yu looked very similar. They both had a tall and sturdy figure, a square face, thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a heroic aura. However, Lao Wang had chosen the orc race. His green face and fangs covered most of his appearance. Furthermore, he had a head of red hair. No one would compare this old and frivolous man with the honest and dutiful Wang Yu. TSK hindsight. Everyone looked at Yang Na with disdain. Oh? You've seen me before? Old Wang turned to Yang Na and asked curiously. Yang Na said, I saw you when I was young. Lao Wang was a leading figure in the martial arts world. The current martial arts circle was only so big. Although Lao Wang did not recognize a small character like Yang Na was still a martial arts practitioner, so it was normal for her to have seen him before. Oh? You are? Old Wang was slightly stunned. My surname is Yang. Yang Na said, You have competed with my grandfather. Did you also come here because you saw the video? Lao Wang was shocked. No. Yang Na explained, I've been playing with them all this time, huh? This little bastard. Old Wang rubbed his chin. He was completely confused. Why are you here? Wang Yu was afraid that Lao Wang would continue asking, so she quickly asked. It's all because of you. Old Wang pointed to the stool next to him and said, Sit down. Wang Yu obediently sat down. Old Wang continued, Little guy, you even learned how to challenge the dojo. Old Li's family already sued me. Do you know that? When I saw the video, I immediately asked your brother to get me an account. I didn't do it on purpose, someone else took it, Wang Yu explained. Lao Wang waved his hand heroically and said, I don't care who filmed it. If you were the one being beaten up in the video, I will break your legs today. The people of Chuanjin thought to themselves, Damn it, he's so protective of his children. Yang Na's forehead was filled with black lines. It was normal for one's family to secretly feel good about winning against another family, but for you to always go back to your nest to feel good? You're feeling good in broad daylight. If word of this gets out, how are you going to survive in the industry? From what you're saying, you're not here to pursue this matter? Wang Yu said in relief. Nonsense. I'm here to find you. Lao Wang shouted sternly. Where have you been for the past half a year? Hearing this, the Chuanjin people immediately pricked up their ears. Other people's family affairs were the best source of gossip. Just strolling around, Wang Yu replied. Aren't you afraid of starving to death? Lao Wang asked angrily again. There was a saying that no one knew a son better than his father. Lao Wang knew better than anyone else what kind of education Wang Yu had received when he was young. He also understood his son's personality even better. He was definitely not cut out to mingle in society. However, he had no choice. Nowadays, martial arts were declining day by day, and the younger generations in the industry were not as good as the previous ones. There was an extremely high realm in martial arts that could only be reached by people with a pure heart. Wang Yu was a genius that only appeared once in 1,000 years, so Lao Wang naturally wanted to nurture him into a milestone figure. Who knew that things would move in the opposite direction when they reached an extreme, and things went out of hand. People like Wang Yu were only slightly stronger than children in society. Although Lao Wang sounded angry in his words, this concern was not unheard of. I almost starved to death. Didn't I come to play games now? Wang Yu answered truthfully. When a father beats his son, his hand is ruthless but his heart is not. No matter how angry old Wang was at Wang Yu for causing him to lose face, when he heard Wang Yu say that he almost starved to death, old Wang's body visibly twitched. Then Lao Wang lowered his voice and said, Can you eat by playing games now? I won't starve to death for now. Wang Yu lowered his head. All right, I will let bygones be bygones. If you are done playing, hurry up and go home. Lao Wang's voice was a lot gentler. Wang Yu said, Wait for me to discuss with my wife, find a time. Wife. Lao Wang's voice suddenly increased by 2 octaves, scaring Quan Zhern and the others so much that they almost sat under the table. When did you guys get married? How come I didn't know? As he said that, Lao Wang turned his head and looked at Yang Na. Good girl, you have a secret relationship. I admire you. Damn, what are you talking about? Wang Yu quickly pulled Lao Wang and said, It's not her. Lao Wang's eyes widened. If it's not her, who is it? The Li family or the Chen family? Lao Wang had come this time to drag Wang Yu back. Although he had lost face, he still had to give them an explanation. Even if she got married, if she was the child of these 4 families, this matter would be over. Lao Wang was not worried. It's not either. Wang Yu lowered his head. Is it? Lao Wang frowned. Then you call her over, let me take a look. In fact, when Wang Yu revealed Lao Wang's identity, Mu Zixian had already received the news. Mu Zixian also knew that running away was never a solution. Some things had to be faced. Talking to Lao Wang face to face was also something that had to be experienced. As soon as Lao Wang's voice fell, Mu Zixian brought Li Shui and the others into the tavern. Aya? So many? You're so much stronger than me. Lao Wang sighed without a care in the world, making everyone speechless. No way, just one. As Wang Yu spoke, he walked to Mu Zixian's side and held Mu Zixian's hand. Mu Zixian looked at Wang Yu leisurely. Seeing Mu Zixian, Lao Wang's anger rose. He furrowed his brows and said, You are his wife? Yes, Dad, hello. Mu Zixian said softly. However, Lao Wang said fiercely, Do I recognize you? Just call me Dad. As soon as Lao Wang said this, the situation instantly became awkward. Even the people at the next table turned their heads and pricked up their ears. Mu Zixian, everyone, it was no wonder. No matter who saw the person who kidnapped their precious son, their mood would not be good. If Mu Zixian was a man, Lao Wang might have already made a move. Uncle Niu, if there is anything, why don't we go to our guild's encampment first? There are so many people here, and there are too many eyes and too many mouths. This was because Wu Ji had returned. Seeing that the situation was not awkward, he hurriedly advised. Chapter 536. Although old Wang's words were rude and unreasonable, he still understood the principle of not washing one's dirty linen in public. Hearing Wu Ji's words, he nodded and followed everyone back to the meeting hall of the Chuanjin encampment. You guys talk first, we'll go somewhere else. After sending them off, Wu Ji gave everyone a look and said in the channel, Let's go, let's go. Hearing this, everyone tactfully followed Wu Ji out. Old Wang said, Since you are my son's friends, there's no need to leave. Come and sit down and be witnesses. Everyone stood awkwardly at the door and looked at Wang Yu. They didn't know if they should leave or not. Wang Yu had never dealt with this kind of thing before. Hearing old Wang say this, he was immediately dumbfounded and didn't know what to do. If it was someone else, he would just beat them to death and be done with it, but this was his father. Mu Zixian stood up and nodded at everyone. You guys sit down. After saying that, Mu Zixian said to old Wang, Even if you don't recognize me as your daughter-in-law, you can still accept me calling you uncle, right? Old Wang coldly snorted and didn't reply. Uncle Wang, there's something I want to talk to you about, Mu Zixian continued. Old Wang coldly said, What is there to talk about? The two of you will divorce tomorrow. At the same time, old Wang pointed at Wang Yu and said, You, hurry up and go home. I'm not going back. Wang Yu stood behind Mu Zixian and stubbornly said, You've learned to talk back? See if I don't beat you to death. Old Wang heard this and was furious. He rushed in front of Wang Yu and extended his hand to grab Wang Yu. Old Wang was only a level 10 smurf. Whether it was his attributes or equipment, there was a large gap between him and Wang Yu. Naturally, Wang Yu would not be hit easily. However, the opponent was his father, so Wang Yu could not retaliate. Thus, Wang Yu tilted his body and wanted to block it. Unexpectedly, Lao Wang flipped his right hand and dodged Wang Yu's blocking hands. His palm went to the back of Wang Yu's head. Then, he grabbed the back of Wang Yu's head and pressed it down. With a bang, Wang Yu's head was smashed onto the table. The people of Chuanjin were all dumbfounded. What should they do? Should he help or not? If he helped, they were father and son. But if he didn't help, it would be too awkward. At this moment, Mu Zixian charged at Lao Wang. Lao Wang pressed the table with one hand and jumped back to avoid the charge. Then, he glared at Mu Zixian and said, "What? Do you still dare to hit me?" Mu Zixian rushed to Wang Yu's side and supported Wang Yu. She stared at Lao Wang and said, "What right do you have to hit him?" Lao Wang said angrily, "I am his father and he is my son. Do I not even have the right to hit him?" "You are breaking the law," Mu Zixian said loudly. "T. He is my son. Even if you beat him to death, you can't lock him up." "Boss, are you coming with me?" Lao Wang stared at Wang Yu and said. "I'm not going." Wang Yu shook his head. If Lao Wang was reasonable and made things clear, perhaps Wang Yu would go back. However, he wanted to force Wang Yu and Mu Zixian to divorce. This was something that Wang Yu would not compromise with. "You!" Lao Wang pointed at Wang Yu and said angrily, "If this wasn't in the game, do you believe that I would tie you up and hang you up? Do you think that violence can solve everything? I am his legal wife and his immediate family. What right do you have to divorce us?" Mu Zixian stood in front of Wang Yu and looked at Lao Wang calmly. Everyone could hear the anger in her words. "Legal? Since you are talking about the law with me, do you know that this is considered human trafficking?" Lao Wang said. "Trafficking?" The Chuanjin people were puzzled. Even abduction is not allowed. Lao Wang glared at them, scaring them into immediately shutting up. Wang Yu said softly, "Don't make things difficult for her. I left with her willingly, but I don't think that I am in the wrong." "All right, you are not in the wrong, right?" Lao Wang looked at Wang Yu angrily. Then, he asked Mu Zixian, "He is a good seedling. He is the hope of a generation. Do you think that you have the ability to support him?" Mu Zixian was speechless. As Wang Yu's wife, Mu Zixian obviously knew what Lao Wang meant by support him. Practicing martial arts was something that required a lot of money. Not to mention food and medical care, just the equipment needed for practicing martial arts was not something that the two of them could afford with their current income, let alone building a professional training ground like the Wang families. Although Wang Yu was earning a lot from playing games every day would waste his martial arts. They could not have both at the same time. Supporting him? It was definitely not something that one or two people could do. "I can support myself." Seeing Mu Zixian lower her head and not say anything, Wang Yu said to Lao Wang, "You? Why?" Lao Wang laughed coldly. Wang Yu said, "I can play games and support my family. I can even support myself." You are going to do nothing for the rest of your life?" Hearing Wang Yu's words, Lao Wang was almost angered to death. This was the blood and sweat of an entire generation. They had trained him for more than 20 years so that he could bring honor to his ancestors and spread his martial arts. However, Wang Yu told him that he wanted to play games. "Rather than seeing you become useless, why don't I beat you to death?" Lao Wang gritted his teeth and was about to attack again. Wuji, Chun Xiang, and the others hurriedly ran over and surrounded Wang Yu. Mingdu stood in front of Lao Wang and said with a cheeky smile, "Sir, you don't have to do such a small thing. We will help you take care of him." Lao Wang was not an unreasonable person. Seeing so many people helping Wang Yu, his heart softened. "What's so fun about this game? I only found the bar after 2 hours of walking around until I was dizzy. Then, I was sent to jail by your friend." Wuji was speechless. "If I hadn't called your brother to help me, I wouldn't even be able to see you now. Come back with me and do what you need to do. These children's games are not suitable for you. I can go back, but I have to be with her. Wang Yu held Mu Zixian's hand tightly. You still say you don't want to listen. Lao Wang had come this time to give an explanation to the other clans. He had the determination to persuade Wang Yu to return. He had already tried to move her emotions and reason with her, but Wang Yu was still being stubborn. With Lao Wang's explosive temper, he was immediately enraged. Do you know what you are doing now? Lao Wang slammed the table. He doesn't know that I know. You think your face is more important. As for Wang Yu, no matter how good his martial arts are, he is just a tool for you to show off. At that moment, Yang Na stood up. Yang Na looked at Wang Yu and his wife. And Wang Yu only wants to live the life he wants. He wants to be happy with the person he likes. You can't even satisfy him on this. It seems like you are just a commoner with slightly better martial arts. The meeting hall was originally noisy, but when they heard Yang Na's words, it instantly became deathly silent. Linglong Meng tugged at Yang Na's clothes. Hey, this is their family business. Let's not interrupt. No, it's not just his family business. Yang Na replied and walked in front of Lao Wang. Chapter 537. The person who was most qualified to speak was Yang Na. Not only was Yang Na a martial artist, but more importantly, Yang Na was once Wang Yu's fiancée. She was also the person involved in this matter. At this moment, her words were undoubtedly the most powerful and impactful. Little girl, do you think you can talk to me like that just because your surname is Yang? Old Wang's face darkened after being contradicted by Yang Na. Why wouldn't I dare? Other than raising him and forcing him to do things he didn't want to do, how else have you fulfilled your responsibilities as a father? You're just treating him as an object to satisfy your vanity, aren't you? Yang Na continued. Yang Na's words frightened not only Wang Yu and his wife, but also the Chuanjin people. No matter how unreasonable old Wang was, he was still an elder. If he had any dissatisfaction, he could just beat around the bush and talk it out. Yang Na's direct rebuttal was indeed a bit too much. You! Old Wang was speechless as he pointed at Yang Na. Yang Na continued, a cold and emotionless home that can't even keep a cat, and you want to keep a person? You're too full of yourself. If I were Wang Yu, I'd rather starve to death on the streets than go back. Starve to death on the streets rather than go back? Upon hearing Yang Na's words, Lao Wang's heart trembled. Then, he turned to look at the determined expressions on Wang Yu and his wife's faces as they held each other's hands. Lao Wang's head immediately buzzed, as if he had aged a few decades in an instant. The drive in his heart disappeared without a trace. Yes, he felt that his home was so good, but he forced his son to starve to death on the streets rather than go back. Was his home really that good? He thought about Yang Na's words again. All these years, he had too many expectations for Wang Yu that he had neglected the basic feelings between people. Now, the two of them had no father or son, only estrangement. After a long pause, old Wang sighed and said to Yang Na, "You're a good girl. I really feel sorry for Big Brother." Yang Na shook her head and said faintly, "Sister Xian is the real good girl. In this world, she's probably the only one who can bind your son." Lao Wang nodded noncommittally. He turned his face to Wang Yu and Mu Zixian and said, "Don't worry. I will give them an explanation for running away." "Thank you," Wang Yu said with surprise and excitement. "But you have to bring your wife home at least once," Old Wang said. Wang Yu was just about to say something when Old Wang said faintly, "Your mom misses you. She doesn't know about your marriage yet." "Okay." When he heard Lao Wang's words, Wang Yu's eyes became wet and he nodded vigorously. "I will go back." Lao Wang smiled helplessly and said to everyone from Quanzhen, "With this group of friends, boss did not make this trip in vain. I will take my leave first. We will meet again someday." After saying that, old Wang opened the interface and left Wuji's party. He was then forcefully kicked out of the guild encampment by the system. After Lao Wang left, Mu Zixin said sincerely, "Little Na, thank you." Yang Na smiled and said, "I only said what was in my heart. Furthermore, I am also a person involved in this matter and a victim. Only when I expressed my stance did Senior Wang have a way out." Person involved? Victim? F***CK. When everyone heard this, they gave Wang Yu the middle finger in disdain. Wang Yu said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, humph." Yang Na glared fiercely at Wang Yu. Not only did he embarrass the girl, but he also insulted her and threatened to kill her every day. Wang Yu's character was terrible. Linglong Meng had a love-struck look on her face. Linglong Meng had a love-struck look on her face. Awesome. Your father is much more manly than you. Do you have a phone number? Give me a copy. Who knows, maybe one day we'll become a family. TSK. If little Meng becomes a family member of Old Cow, according to seniority, wouldn't we become Old Cow's elders? Mingdu said with a smile. Chun Xiang pointed at to place one's pride and said, "No, little chick isn't. He is at most the same generation as Old Cow, or even lower." Wang Yu was furious. "All of you, get lost." With a laugh and a quarrel, the oppressive atmosphere in the conference hall was swept away. Stop it, stop it. At this moment, Wuji suddenly muted the guild channel and asked famous Sword Daoshua, "Daoshua, how's the purchase?" "It's done," famous Sword Daoshua said as he took out a pile of colorful equipment and a skill book and placed it in front of Mingdu. Mingdu said with a bitter expression, "Is this the only way?" Wuji rolled his eyes at Mingdu and said, "Nonsense, if there was any other way, why would we spend so much money to purchase things? Even so, I can't be sacrificed." Mingdu wanted to cry, as if he had been wronged. "Damn it, don't take advantage of me. If that skill wasn't something that could only be learned by thunder magic, would it have been given to you? Hurry up and keep the equipment and learn the skill." Wuji was furious. The others saw this and were confused. "What's wrong with Old Li today? In the past, if we didn't split your things, you would be so angry. Today, we gave you so many equipment and skills, why are you feeling aggrieved?" "Nonsense, if it were you, you would feel aggrieved too." Mingdu picked up the equipment and skills on the table and showed them one by one. Lily Robe, Clothing, Set, plus 20 Intelligence plus 20 Spirit Flowery Jade. Halo Skill, plus 10% attack and defense for all male party members within a 500 range, plus 20% aggro for targets of the opposite sex. Set effect. Unknown required class. General required level. 25 Persistent Sakura Rapier, Weapon, Set, plus 20 Strength plus 20 Agility Beauty Thorn. 30% Defense Ignore. Set effect. Unknown required class. General required level. 25 Persistent Lotus Skirt Leggings. Set, plus 20 Vitality plus 20 Agility Flowing Wind and Snow. 10% attack and defense for targets of the opposite sex within a 500 range. Set effect. Unknown required class. General required level. 25 Persistent Oleander Bracelet Glove. Plus 10 Strength plus 10 Vitality Release Poison. Left hand 30% Poison Attack Absorb Poison. Right hand 30% Poison Attack Nullified. Set effect. Unknown required class. General required level. 25 Persistent Stars, Accessory. Earring, Starry Sky. Active skill, instantly recovers 1000 HP. Set effect. Unknown required class. General required level. 25 Persistent You Beauty, Accessory. Rebirth from the Dead. Active skill, adds a 1000 point shield. Set effect. Unknown required class. General required level. 25 Persistent Alfalfa Boots, Shoes, plus 25 Agility Palm Dance. Luck plus 10. Set effect. Unknown required class. General required level. 25 to be continued. Chapter 538. Bring a long-lasting equipment. Everyone was shocked when they saw the attributes of the equipment. They pointed at Mingdu and scolded, "You bastard! Why do you have such an expression when you're wearing a long-lasting equipment? If you don't want it, give it to me." Anyone who played online games would be familiar with the concept of long-lasting equipment. Under normal circumstances, if the equipment's durability reached 0, it meant that the equipment would be completely destroyed and would need to be repaired by an equipment merchant. However, the setting for long-lasting equipment in Rebirth was different from other games. In Rebirth, what could be repaired was called equipment damage, while long-lasting equipment was a special attribute that could not be repaired. Equipment with long-lasting equipment did not have a damage attribute. However, once its durability reached its lowest point, the equipment would disappear completely. It was equivalent to a single-use item. Although this set of equipment did not have a main attribute, equipment with long-lasting equipment had a special effect. Before its durability reached its lowest point, the player would not take damage if they were attacked by the equipment. Shield warriors were equipped with this type of equipment. This was also why the price of a shield was much higher than other weapons. After all, the special effect was amazing and the demand was high, so it was difficult for it not to be expensive. Radiant Doe's equipment set was a set. Although its appearance was a little revealing, it still covered 50% of his body. Unless someone attacked an area that wasn't covered by the equipment, this set would be an invincible aura before it disappeared. Such an amazing set of equipment, yet he still felt aggrieved. It was simply asking for a beating. There's another skill book. What's that? Exquisite Dream's sharp eyes spotted the skill book. Oh, this. Mingdu revealed the skill book. Light of the Heavens, epic skill. Has a certain chance of summoning a monster that is not higher than the user's level as a weapon. Class requirement, Lightning Mage. Damn, it's actually Light of the Heavens. Oldly, are you trying to steal this old man's position? Chun Xiang shouted when he saw Light of the Heavens. When the others saw it, they all revealed expressions of envy. Skills that allowed players to bring items with them were the rarest skills in Rebirth. Currently, there were 2 known skills that could only be learned by mages. One of them was Chun Xiang's Imp Summon, while the other was Bright City's Light of Dawn. Both of them were skills that allowed monsters to assist in battle. The only difference was that Spring Source skill was a summoning skill, while Light of Sin was a charm skill. Spring Source imps disappeared after logging off. Without the Book of Sealing, the summon monsters were all level 1. Although the Light of Light enchanted monsters would also disappear after logging off, the monster's level wouldn't change, and there was no limit to the number of monsters that could be summoned. Therefore, as long as one had enough luck and HP, it was theoretically possible for a mage who had learned the Light of God to lead an army of thousands to flatten a monster zone. Of course, although Light of Hell's charm monsters weren't level 1, they wouldn't level up either. There was also a chance of success. That was why there was no limit to the number of Light of Hell's charm spells, and why there was a difference of 1 rank between the 2 skills. Even so, the practicality and value of Light of Sin was not inferior to Summon Imp. Bao San was even more shocked as he asked Mingjian Daoxue, "It's fine to be able to buy equipment with durability, but where did you buy this epic tier skill?" After being asked by Bao San, Mingjian Daoxue was so distressed that he almost cried. "This is a treasure that I bought from a noob in the novice village. I don't know when that shameless Wuji set his eyes on it, but he forcefully bought it. As expected of Wuji, he's really amazing." Everyone was in awe. Light of Sin was definitely a skill that had a price but no supply. If they found a chance to hype it up, they would definitely be able to sell it for a sky-high price. Wuji must have put aside his pride to forcefully buy it. He was shameless anyway. At this point, Mingdu once again became the target of public criticism. UB*TCH, you already have an epic tier skill, and you're still pretending here. Do you believe that we won't kill you a few hundred times right now? At this moment, Mu Zixuan suddenly laughed and said, "If I'm not wrong, Boss Wuji is going to catch the flower demon? That's right. Wuji nodded his head in admiration, as expected of someone who used to be one. Your standards are much higher than these guys. Mu Zixin smiled but did not say anything. Wang Yu asked, Isn't it just catching a flower demon? Old Li, why do you have such an expression? Mu Zixin said, Because to catch a flower demon, one must wear the 100 flowers set equipment. So what? Everyone was at a loss. Wang Yu seemed to understand. He laughed evilly and said, Old Li, put on the equipment and let us see. Mingdu's body trembled, and he looked extremely bitter. Wuji and Mingjian Daoxue were both lying on the table, laughing so hard that they were about to suffer internal injuries. At this moment the others also understood what was going on. They all surrounded him. Come, Old Li, quickly put it on. What if I say I don't want to wear it? Mingdu asked pitifully. It's okay, we'll force you to wear it. Everyone rubbed their fists. You'll all suffer retribution. Radiant City let out a mournful wail as it replaced its equipment piece by piece. At the start, Mingdu only wore a few pieces and did not show anything. Other than the equipment being a little flashy, there was nothing strange. However, after Mingdu put on the last piece of equipment, the set's attributes were activated. Mingdu's appearance immediately changed. To be exact, his appearance did not change. It was just his style that changed. From a thin and weak man, he had turned into a voluptuous and enchanting woman with a voluptuous figure. Exposed breasts, slender legs, fair arms, bright-colored high heels, and Mingdu's shockingly ugly face. All of these elements fused together, creating a strong contrast. The beauty was even more beautiful, and the ugliness was even more ugly. Just the visual effect alone was enough to make everyone take a few steps back in shock. Damn! 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 To place one's pride jumped up on the spot. After seeing Mingdu, I feel that I will never like women again. When everyone heard that, they hurriedly distanced themselves from To Place One's Pride. To Place One's Pride chased after them and shouted, What's the meaning of this? Scram, stay away from me! Everyone said in unison. A few girls looked at Mingdu and nearly drooled. Yang Na looked at her flat figure and then looked at Mingdu enviously. Tisk tsk, your figure is really good, that's right. After you capture the flower demon, lend it to me for 2 days. Mu Zixin said with starry eyes. Everyone looked at Wang Yu and envied Wang Yu's luck with women. Ahem. Wang Yu coughed and said, Your level isn't high enough, right? Ah, that's right. I wanted to show it to you. Mu Zixin blushed. Everyone was once again fed dog food. Exquisite Dream said excitedly, Old Li, I order you not to damage it. Leave it to me after you're done. Can we each have 1 day? Yang Na asked. All right, I'll have 1 day and you have 2 days. It's settled. Exquisite Dream was extremely domineering. To be continued. Chapter 539. Men were fundamentally different from women who loved to look good. For example, Chun Xiang walked in front of Mingdu and asked, You didn't lose what you should have, right? Wuji smiled and said, Don't worry about whether you have what you should have or not. Take this chance to touch yourself. You won't have this chance in the future anyway, how can you say that? I've read Old Li's fortune before. Old Li looks like he's having an affair. Is that so? You should switch to your left hand. Yin Lao Er also jeered at the side. Mingdu said with a cold face, Why don't you all go die? Haha, just as everyone was criticizing Mingdu, Bai Mingyu rubbed her chin and asked Wuji, Are we going to catch the flower demon or kill it? Catch. Wuji said. Is Apocalypse willing? Bai Mingyu said worriedly. Bosses would respawn again if they were killed, but if they were caught, then it would be the same. As long as the boss didn't die, it wouldn't respawn again. Didn't Dugu Jiuqiang agree to let us kill it? We'll reserve it first and kill it when we want to. Wuji smiled and said, Plus, the boss doesn't belong to him. If he wants to go with us, he can't do anything about it. Bai Mingyu paused and said, if they stop us and let the boss go with us, this will be a bit difficult. We're in a different zone. There were no capture skills in Rebirth. The so-called capture of the flower demon meant to lure it to another place and raise it. Sky Dragon City and Yu Huiqing were 2 zones apart. If the wild monsters boarded the ship, they would be killed by the guards. So they could only walk. On this journey of tens of thousands of miles, being chased by a big guild like Apocalypse, it was impossible to protect the flower demon while escaping. Doesn't Old Li have enchanting light? Wuji said. But doesn't that skill only entice non-boss monsters? North Siyu said. At the end of the day, enchanting light was just a skill. No matter how overpowered an epic level skill was, it would not affect the balance of the game. Therefore, players could only entice normal monsters that did not exceed their level. If they could entice even bosses, the game would probably not be playable. That's why we sacrificed Mingdu. Wuji pointed at Mingdu and said, his set is called the 100 Flowers set. The set attributes of this set are hidden. They will only be revealed when all of them are activated. Among them are the key attributes for us to capture the boss. Really? What hidden attribute? Everyone curiously asked Mingdu. Mingdu opened the interface and displayed the attribute. There were 3 hidden attributes. Glamorous. Fashion effect corrects and beautifies the player's figure. Gorgeous. Double the success rate of charm-type skills. 100 Blossoms. Charm skill can be used on plant-type bosses. Hiss. Seeing the set's attributes, Bai Mingyu sucked in a breath of cold air. Apart from the first one, which was dispensable for non-female players, the other 2 were simply godly skills. Charm skills were a very special type of skill. After all, controlling an enemy target was a very shameless behavior. If it was not for the low success rate, there was probably no natural enemy in the game. Not only could the 100 Flowers set double the success rate, but it was also effective on bosses. Only in novels could a boss be a follower. Speaking of which, how did you know that the 100 Flowers set has this attribute? Everyone asked curiously. The 100 Flowers set could only be activated after all of them were gathered. Didn't that mean, that's right, the player who obtained the crown of flower demons during the closed beta was me. I've also worn the 100 Flowers set, Wuji said honestly. Everyone said thoughtfully, you should look better in it than Mingdu, of course. Wuji nodded. Speaking of which, aren't you a cleric? How did you learn enchanting light? The cleric class has a skill called Holy Decree. It's a skill that specializes in brainwashing. Wuji said honestly. Hearing Wuji's words, Mingdu's face turned green. He questioned Wuji with a murderous expression. Wuji shrugged and said, I took the Sacred Edict skill during the closed beta. I didn't get it during the open beta. Moreover, I look much better in it than you do. Many male players flirt with me. It's too disgusting. Everyone was speechless. Being flirted with by men was a lot. They really couldn't tell that Wuji was a person with a life. Don't I find it disgusting? Mingdu was furious. Do you want me to tell the truth? What truth? If it's based on your face, no one will flirt with you. You'll only attract attention, that's right. Wuji's words make sense. Everyone agreed with him. F***ck. Mingdu was depressed. In order not to attract attention from other players, Mingdu ignored everyone's advice and took off the 100 Flower equipment set. After arriving at Sky Dragon City, Wuji sent a message to Dugu Jiuqiang. Kill the flower demon? Why? Just as Wuji had expected, in less than 2 days, Dugu Nine Spears had already started to go back on his word. When he saw Wuji's message, he immediately replied with such a sentence. Wuji knew that Dugu Jiuqiang would do this, so he replied, Didn't you say it? What? Should I ask Lei Gongdang to testify? He's a pro player, and he needs his reputation. You're late. The flower demon has been sold today. Dugu Jiuqiang snorted and replied. His words were filled with pride. Oh? He sold it? Who? Wuji asked. Send me his name card. I'll discuss it with him. After a big guild raised a boss, it wasn't impossible for other players to kill it, as long as they paid enough money. There were so many big guilds and they raised all sorts of bosses. Apart from their daily needs, it wasn't a big loss to outsource it to others. Moreover, some items could only be dropped by a specific boss. Other than small groups, big guilds would also trade with each other. Over time, buying and selling bosses became a business chain for the big guild. For example, the Flower Demon boss was weak and had a chance of dropping high-grade items. It was the first choice of many small groups. If the boss was bought by someone else, the player who wanted to buy the boss could choose to negotiate the price with the player who bought the boss first. Haha, you want to spend money to buy the boss? When Dugu Jiuqiang heard that Wuji wanted his name card, he was very excited. Originally, this boss was free for Wuji to kill, but now Wuji wanted to spend money. If he could make Wuji lose money, even if it wasn't Dugu Jiuqiang who earned it, he would still be very happy. This was a classic case of harming others without benefiting oneself. None of your business. Hurry up and send me your name card and coordinate. Wuji didn't want to waste time with Dugu Jiuqiang. Chapter 540. Genius in 1 second. Remember Love Go? Speaking Net, providing you with exciting novels to read. System notification. Your friend Dugu Jiuqiang has introduced you to a friend, Fish Watching Underwater. It's him? Interesting. Looking at the system notification, Wang Yu frowned, then smiled and sent a message to Dugu Jiuqiang. How much money did this person spend? 1,000 gold. And his attitude is firm. You won't be able to get it without at least 2,000 gold. Seeing you lose money, I can eat an extra kilo of dumplings today. Dugu Jiuqiang gloated. The average value of a boss was only around 100 gold, unless it dropped a special item, then it would be worth more than 1,000 gold. For Fish Watching Underwater to spend 1,000 gold on a boss, it seemed that he was determined to get the crown of Flower Demons. 1,000 gold really isn't a small amount. This Fish Watching Underwater is really generous. Unfortunately, he's unlucky. Today I'll have to save money. Thinking of this, the corner of Wuji's mouth curled up. He said to the others, "The boss has been bought." Someone bought it? Then didn't we come for nothing? Sky Dragon City and Yu Huiqing weren't close. It would take an hour to go back and forth. If they wasted that time, they could clear 2 dungeons. Wuji laughed. Not really. The person who bought the boss is Fish Watching Underwater. So it's that piece of trash. Hearing the name Fish Watching Underwater, Wang Yu rubbed his palms together and stood up. Originally, Wang Yu didn't think of Fish Watching Underwater as a gentleman. However, after just one encounter, Wang Yu understood what it meant to know a person's face but not his heart. After hearing about this guy's various bad deeds, the word trash became the code name for Fish Watching Underwater in Wang Yu's heart. For this kind of person, if he didn't kill him a few times, he wouldn't be able to eat or sleep in peace. Wuji nodded and said, "Yup, that's him. Everyone listen to my commands later. We'll steal the boss and make his 1,000 gold go down the drain." The Flower Demon boss was bought from Dugu Jiuqiang. If it was in Dugu Jiuqiang's territory and Chuanjin stole the boss, Watchers Underwater would definitely look for Dugu Jiuqiang to reason with. Dugu Jiuqiang originally owed Chuanjin a boss. The best outcome right now would be to suffer in silence and let Watchers Underwater kill it again. However, the people from the Chuanjin sect were here to kill off Dugu Nine Spears' boss. Naturally, they would not allow it to respawn. At that time, one of the 2 sects would have to pay for the boss's death, while the other would have to pay for the boss's death. With Dugu Nine Spears' temper, if the boss suddenly disappeared, there was an 80% to 90% chance that he would vent his anger on the fish in the water and kill it a few times. The Flower Demon's spawn location was called Illusion Garden. According to the coordinates given by Dugu Jiuqiang, Illusion Garden was located in a level 30 monster area not far from the northern outskirts of Sky Dragon City. Flower demons weren't high-level bosses. They were only famous because of the special equipment they dropped. In reality, there was a flower demon boss in every server's 20 servers. However, due to the flower demon boss's uniqueness, each server's spawn location was different. Some flower demon bosses could appear in level 50 monster areas, while others could appear in level 70 monster areas. Currently, the only guild that knew of a flower demon boss that had been found and sold was the Apocalypse. After all, the flower demon's crown was too overpowered. No one wanted to let others take advantage of it, except for a fool like Dugu Jiuqiang. It didn't take long for Chuanjin's group to arrive at Illusion Garden's location. Currently, most players were around level 30. A level 30 leveling area should be bustling with activity. However, because the Illusion Garden had been carved out by the World Apocalypse, aside from players from the World Apocalypse, no other players dared to enter. It couldn't be helped. This was how big guilds work. Resources in the game were limited. Of course, whoever was stronger would have the final say. As for small groups of players, they didn't have the ability to compete with each other. They could only fight monsters that were higher levels than them or grind dungeons. Pity for the weak didn't exist in the game. Those who didn't take the initiative to bully others were high-quality players. Perhaps the people from Apocalypse were used to being domineering and felt that no one would fight for territory with them. Hence, when Chuanjin's group entered Illusion Garden and swaggered all the way to the Flower Demon's spawn point, they didn't encounter any obstructions. It was most likely because Chuanjin's group didn't treat themselves as outsiders and allowed others to treat them as one of their own. After arriving at the Flower Demon's spawn location, Wang Yu's group saw a group of players from One Heart Alliance. There were a total of 25 players from One Heart Alliance. Under the leadership of One Heart Alliance, they formed two circles. The outer circle cleared out the flower spirits in the outer circle, while the inner circle dragged the Flower Demon's subordinates, the man-eating flower guards. In the innermost circle, a fighter and a cleric girl were fighting the Flower Demon. The fighter was Nian Luyun. As for the cleric girl, no one recognized her. However, when they saw the cleric girl's equipment, they couldn't help but be shocked. Damn, it's the 100 flower equipment set. The 100 flower equipment set was a long-lasting equipment. It wasn't too rare on the market. This was because the Flower Demon boss would drop one set every time it died. The Flower Demon spawned once a day, and since the server had been open for so long, there wasn't only one Flower Demon in the server. As long as one put in the effort, it was possible to gather a few sets in the auction house. Of course, the 100 flower equipment set's attributes were not that great, and it was extremely expensive. Players would usually treat it as a fashion item, something rich young masters would use to coax women. Other than the GM, Wuji had always thought that he was the only one who knew about the Flower Phantom equipment set's hidden attribute. It's useless even if they have the Flower Demon equipment set. They don't know Enchanting Light. Famous Sword Snow said in disdain. Compared to a skill like Enchanting Light, the 100 flower equipment set was much easier to find. However, Wuji furrowed his eyebrows and said, "No, that cleric girl used Holy Oracle. No way, how could it be so coincidental?" Everyone was stunned when they heard this. Not only did they coincidentally know about the 100 flower equipment set's hidden stats, but they also had a cleric who knew Holy Oracle. Watcher Underwater had clearly come prepared, and he even knew the detailed method of catching the Flower Demon. Then what do we do now? Do we still try to steal it? Bao San asked Wuji. If Watcher Underwater didn't know how to catch the Flower Demon boss, Chuanjin would wipe out Unity Alliance. At most, Watcher Underwater would think that one of the bosses had been stolen, and then he would ask Dugu Jiuqiang for compensation. However, Watcher Underwater also knew how to catch the Flower Demon. If it was stolen, he would most likely call the people from the apocalypse to stop Qiuanzhen. If the two groups fought to the death, Dugu Jiuqiang would definitely be happy to watch the show. However, if it was about stealing a boss, Dugu Jiuqiang definitely wouldn't be able to sit still. After all, in the game, stealing a boss was as bad as digging up someone's ancestral grave. Chapter 541. Ga, of course we have to steal it. Wu Ji smiled sinisterly. We don't know that they will catch it, and they definitely don't know that we will catch it. We just need to change the plan. Oh? What do you want to do? Asked Bao San. Lure the tiger away from the mountain, besiege Wei to rescue Zhao Zhao. As he said this, Wu Ji said to Wang Yu, Old cow, you go and lure them away. In the initial plan, Wu Ji's plan was to kill the people watching the fish by surprise. But now that the fish watching the fish knew that the waves could be caught, they would definitely be on guard. The fish watching the fish had fought with Wu Ji and knew that Qiuanzhen was full of bad ideas that were not easy to deal with. At this time, if all the people from Qiuanzhen appeared, with the intelligence of the fish watching the fish watching the fish, it was not difficult to guess the purpose of Qiuanzhen. If the fish watching the fish guessed that the people from Qiuanzhen were coming for the waves, they would definitely seek help from the people from the apocalypse. At that time, the people from Qiuanzhen would definitely go for wool and come home shorn. Therefore, to steal the waves, the fish watching the fish must feel that the people from Qiuanzhen were not targeting the wave. Just because you say so, the fish watching the fish under the water isn't stupid. Wang Yu curled his lips. Wang Yu had personally experienced the method of the fish watching the fish under the water. Putting aside this grandson's character, his ability to invert right and wrong was outstanding. It could be seen that his adaptability and intelligence were not inferior to Wu Ji. Such a simple method to deceive the fish watching the fish under the water was impossible. Then who do you think is stupid? Wu Ji asked with a smile. Nian Luyun. That idiot. Wang Yu looked at Nian Luyun with extreme contempt. Nian Luyun didn't have the slightest idea. Although he was strong, he was deceived by the fish watching the fish like a grandson. He even looked down on Wang Yu several times. It was impossible for Wang Yu to not have any opinions about him. That's it, Wu Ji said. Later, you go and kill the fish watching the fish under the water first. That's it? Wang Yu was in disbelief. Wu Ji nodded and said, Yes. You can't go wrong listening to me. It's true that fish are smart underwater, but that's also their guild's weakness. Do you see Flowing Cloud and the others? Watching the fish underwater has made his subordinates dumbfounded. Many years ago, Wu Ji had come into contact with Fish Watcher, so he knew the man's personality very well. Fish Watcher was extremely conceited about his intelligence and had a strong desire for control. Even his daily quests were assigned by Fish Watcher. Over time, the players of United Hearts Alliance had become dependent on Fish Watcher, and their autonomy was not very high. This kind of management method concentrated the power, and the players cooperated very well, but the shortcomings were also very obvious. If the fish in the water was killed, Unity Alliance would be at a loss. This group of idiots would definitely treat the second-in-command, Nian Luyun, as their leader. Nian Luyun was someone who was used to being ordered around. He didn't have his own opinions and acted without thinking. There was a saying, keep a bear in a nest and watch the fish in the water. These guys were like a plate of loose sand. Okay. After listening to Wu Ji's explanation, Wang Yu was about to jump up when Wu Ji said, Try not to kill too many people when you're luring them. If you kill too many, you'll be exposed. But that cleric must die. Cleric? Wang Yu glanced at the gorgeously dressed girl and said, That's a woman. You've killed a lot of female monsters, haven't you? Why are you acting so pure? Wu Ji looked at Wang Yu with disdain. Plus, as long as the 100-flower set isn't like Mingdu's, it doesn't differentiate between men and women. Is that so? Wang Yu scratched his head. You're not trying to get me to kill people out of pure jealousy, are you? The Holy Edict skill seemed to be a unique skill. Since Wuji was one step ahead of him, he would naturally be unhappy. Wuji replied, I'm a bit jealous, but the problem is that Oracle is too annoying. Oracle was a unique skill for clerics. Although it didn't have any attack power, it had a special effect, and that was to increase intimacy. It was also commonly known as brainwashing. It wasn't a big deal for a wild monster to be turned into an item. Because of the special nature of holy skills, Oracle could also increase the intimacy and loyalty of other players to itself. It was a skill that could instantly kill a player. If they didn't kill the cleric first, even if Mingdu managed to turn the flower fiend into an item, the cleric could easily kill it with a single wave of his hand. Got it, Wang Yu replied. He used his Qinggong to charge into the encirclement of One Heart Alliance. While Chuanzhen and the others were watching, the players from One Heart Alliance had already cleared out the mobs and guards. They were currently surrounding the flower fiend, not taking any action. Flowing Cloud stood in front of the cleric. The cleric cast Oracle one after another. Every time, the flower fiend would be stunned, and its eyes would become more and more lifeless. Xiaohe, are you done? Underwater Fish asked excitedly and nervously. His tone was almost the same as Chuanzhen's. Right now, they were stealthily swimming under the noses of the end of the world. Watching the fish under the water did not have the mentality of the Chuanzhen people that all living beings were nothing but floating clouds. At this moment, even though they were surrounded by their subordinates, watching the fish under the water could not help but feel a little diffident. This cleric, Xiaohe, was hired by Underwater Fish through an advertisement on the forums. Although she had a powerful skill like Oracle, her control was clearly very low. She needed Flowing Cloud's help to stand firm in front of the flower fiend. Xiaohe's full name was Xiaohe, just showing her horns. Unlike Mingdu, she was a girl. When she heard Underwater Fish's question, she immediately replied, 57%. Once I increase intimacy to 70%, I'll be able to turn into an item. Right, boss Underwater Fish. How did you know that the 100-flower equipment set can increase the power of Oracle? Xiaohe asked curiously. Hee. Underwater Fish smiled proudly and said, We're not strangers, so I won't hide it from you. In this game, knowledge is power. Xiaohe's face was blank. Seeing Xiaohe's expression, Underwater Fish smiled knowingly. What did he mean by knowledge is power? That was just an excuse to confuse the public. As for the method to capture the flower demons, it was actually something that Underwater Fish had bought at a high price from the Mage Academy's library. Someone as suspicious as Underwater Fish naturally wouldn't tell Xiaohe about the method to capture them. The two chatted, but their hands weren't idle. Xiaohe was behind Flowing Cloud, drinking blue potions and casting Oracle. The flower fiend's eyes became more and more lifeless, and Xiaohe's intimacy rose to more than 60%. The more critical the moment, the more everyone's attention was on Bo. They didn't notice that someone was approaching them from behind. Hey, what are you guys doing here? Chapter 542. The members of United Alliance were startled. Turning their heads, they saw Wang Yu poking his head out from a corner. It's you! Seeing Wang Yu's familiar face, Underwater Fish hurriedly retreated a few steps in fright. Huh? It really is you. I've been looking for you for a long time. Saying so, Wang Yu extended his hand and grabbed Underwater Fish. Mommy! Underwater Fish, who was retreating, saw Wang Yu charging at him. His legs went limp and he fell to the ground. Just as Wang Yu was about to trample Underwater Fish to death, Nian Luyun abandoned the boss and used Collapsing Fist to charge at Underwater Fish. She then abruptly grabbed Wang Yu's wrist. She then grabbed Wang Yu's arm with both hands and swung him backward. With the buff from Wang Yu's skill, Wang Yu was sent flying. At the same time, Underwater Fish shouted in shock, Don't worry about me. Hurry up and protect Xiao He. Upon receiving the command, the members of United Alliance hurriedly pulled Xiao He, who had turned pale from the fright of the boss, to the side. However, at this moment, Wang Yu descended from the sky, landing right above Xiao He. With a thunder stomp, Wang Yu stomped on the top of Xiao He's head. Before the pitiful girl could react, Wang Yu's stomp crushed her head into a pulp, and her body transformed into light particles. Tsk, tsk, tisk. The members of Chuanjin, who were lying prone a short distance away, revealed expressions of contempt when they saw Wang Yu's cruel and ruthless actions. Exquisite Dream, on the other hand, had a look of horror on her face. This brat is so vicious. That's nothing. He can be even more ruthless, you know. Everyone started to criticize Wang Yu's insanity. Linglong Meng wiped the sweat off her forehead with lingering fear. She was glad that she hadn't provoked this beast. In fact, Nian Luyun was very convinced that he had lost to Wang Yu in the last battle. However, because the video had appeared on the forum, the Li family had been completely humiliated. This matter was also exaggerated by watching fish underwater. Nian Luyun already hated Wang Yu to the core. At this time, when he saw Wang Yu kill Xiao He so cruelly, the anger in his heart burned even more. You beast, do you dare to fight me one-on-one? Nian Luyun pointed at Wang Yu and cursed. Hee. Wang Yu chuckled and swung his fist at Nian Luyun. Nian Luyun put his hands in front and back to block, trying to grab Wang Yu. But who would have thought that Wang Yu would take a step in the air, as if he had stepped on the ground. He made a turn in the air, bypassed Nian Luyun, and flew in front of watching fish underwater. When people were frightened, they would do some meaningless things, such as watching fish underwater. When he saw Wang Yu flying over, he was scared out of his wits. He grabbed his magic staff and waved it around, trying to hit Wang Yu from the sky. Such childish behavior made Wang Yu so angry that he almost laughed. His figure paused in mid-air, and he kicked the Watanabe fish's chin, causing it to fall to the ground. Then, Wang Yu landed on the ground and stepped on the Watanabe fish's throat, crushing it to death on the spot. I'll kill you! Nian Luyun was still waiting to grab Wang Yu, but Wang Yu bypassed him and killed watching fish underwater. Such blatant disregard immediately made Nian Luyun lose his composure, and he pounced on Wang Yu. Wang Yu couldn't turn around in time, so he suddenly kicked back with his right leg, aiming at Nian Luyun's face. He had long heard of the Wang family's 9 revolutions chain Nian Luyun, so he was naturally prepared when he attacked Wang Yu from behind. At this moment, when Wang Yu kicked out, Nian Luyun's right hand immediately grabbed Wang Yu's ankle. Wang Yu abruptly pressed his arms against the ground, using his right foot as an axis to rotate his body. His left foot then kicked Nian Luyun in the face. Nian Luyun was caught off guard by Wang Yu's kick, causing him to stumble. Meanwhile, Wang Yu took the opportunity to flip forward, breaking free from Nian Luyun's grasp. Without any hesitation, he ran out of the illusion garden. At this moment, the other members of Unity Alliance gathered around and asked Nian Luyun, Boss Cloud, what should we do? Seeing that Xiao He and watching fish underwater had died, Nian Luyun could no longer fight the boss. He simply pointed at Wang Yu and said, chase him. Okay. More than 20 people received Nian Luyun's order and chased after him. Before Unity Alliance's members could get far, Baiming Yuyu and Mingjian Daoshue's figures appeared, each stabbing at the Flower Demon. Unity Alliance had come here with the goal of capturing the Flower Demon alive. Hence, they did not attack the Flower Demon. At this moment, the Flower Demon's aggro towards Unity Alliance was still 0. With the 2 assassins each stabbing at the Flower Demon, they quickly grabbed the Flower Demon's aggro. Behind them, Wuji and the others openly surrounded the Flower Demon, replacing Unity Alliance's members in tandem to tank the boss. Attack! Wuji said as he pointed at the Flower Demon. Aren't we supposed to capture it alive? Hearing Wuji's command, everyone was confused. Wuji said, Of course, we have to capture it alive. However, the lower the flower demon's HP, the higher the chance of it becoming a war pet. Those idiots at watching fish underwater have wasted their holy oracle skill. Seeing Unity Alliance's members gradually disappear into the distance, Bao San worriedly asked, "You said that watching fish underwater won't be looking for a gundog now, right?" Smiling, Wuji asked, "If you're the only one who knows that the flower demon can be captured, will you tell the others?" "I won't." Bao San shook his head. "That's right," Wuji said. "Those bastards at watching fish underwater won't know either." The commotion caused by over 20 people chasing after a single person was quite large. The chase between Unity Alliance and Wang Yu quickly attracted the attention of the nearby players of the Apocalypse. Seeing these unfamiliar faces, the players of the Apocalypse naturally surrounded them and questioned them. When Unity Alliance reached the exit of the Illusion Garden, they were stopped by someone. The person who stopped Nian Luyun and the others was none other than Light Brother. Light Brother bluntly asked, Hey, who are you guys? What are you doing?" Nian Luyun stopped and explained, "We're from Unity Alliance. We're here to kill a boss." "Unity Alliance?" Light Brother was stunned. He then looked at his lackey, who said, "That is indeed the case." "Oh," Light Brother replied. He then asked, "Are you done killing the boss?" "Not yet," Nian Luyun said. "Then where are you guys going?" "We're going after him." Nian Luyun was clearly growing impatient when she saw Wang Yu running further and further away. Light Brother followed Nian Luyun's gaze and saw Wang Yu turning his head to look at his pursuers. Light Brother hurriedly moved to the side and said, Go on." After Unity Alliance and Wang Yu disappeared from sight, Light Brother said to his lackey, "Let's go check out the boss." "Check out the boss?" The boss should have been stolen from those people, but the leader said that they didn't finish killing it. "Let's go check it out in case they go back on their word." Light Brother led his group to the center of the Illusion Garden. When he saw 10 people surrounding the boss, he relaxed. He said with some surprise, "These people are quite powerful. They didn't steal the boss." The lackey replied, "Of course. You might not have heard of Unity Alliance, but you must have heard of Nian Luyun. That person just now was Nian Luyun." Chapter 543. After Wang Yu left the Illusion Garden, he ran straight for Heavenly Dragon City. Nian Luyun and her team chased after him. However, most of United Alliance's players were mages. Wang Yu's speed could only be described with one word: speed. Even if Wang Yu deliberately went easy on Wang Yu, Nian Luyun and her team could not catch up to him. Seeing fish underwater didn't feel surprised that Wang Yu had killed him. He would be surprised if Wang Yu didn't kill him just because he wanted to see what the fish did underwater. Hence, Watcher Fish did not realize Wang Yu's true goal. After reviving in Heavenly Dragon City, Watcher Fish immediately went to pick up Xiao He. He then asked Nian Luyun in the team chat, "That guy didn't try to steal the boss, right?" "No." Nian Luyun answered honestly. "Good." Watcher Fish felt relieved when he heard that Wang Yu had not tried to steal the boss. After all, with Nian Luyun and so many others around, no matter how powerful Wang Yu was, stealing the boss would not be easy. Hence, Watcher Fish did not ask where Wang Yu was. After picking up Xiao he hurriedly ran out of the city. However, as soon as the two reached the city gates, they saw Wang Yu running toward them. "Hey, what a coincidence to meet you guys again." At this moment, Wang Yu also saw the two people who were watching the fish underwater. She smiled and waved at them, causing Xiao He to be at a loss. If she hadn't been trampled to death by Wang Yu once, this lady would have thought that she had met her old friends. "You cover the rear. I'll retreat first." Watcher Fish paled. He pushed Xiao He forward and turned to run with Wang Yu's lightness skill. He was astonishingly fast. Watcher Fish was a short-legged mage. Whether or not he ran made no difference. One moment, Wang Yu was still waving at the two. In the next moment, he was in front of Xiao He. While Xiao He was still in shock, Wang Yu kicked her in the head again. At this time, the underwater fish had only run a few meters away. Wang Yu clapped his hands, and the white light from the cloud-capturing hand swept out, pulling the underwater fish before him, snapping its neck, strangling its throat, and taking it away in one go. After Wang Yu killed the duo, Nian Luyun led his men to the city gates and happened to see Watcher Fish transform into a white light. "You shameless scum!" Nian Luyun roared as he threw a collapsing fist towards Wang Yu. Wang Yu ducked down and dodged Nian Luyun's collapsing fist. Nian Luyun saw that his move had been used, so he turned his arms downwards in an attempt to hug Wang Yu. At the same time, Wang Yu clenched his right hand into a tiger's claw and grabbed Nian Luyun's chin. Nian Luyun was knocked into the air. Immediately after, Wang Yu retracted his arms and pushed forward with his right shoulder, activating Iron Mountain Backrest. Nian Luyun was sent flying like a kite with its string cut, crashing heavily into the ground and turning into a white light. The mages of United Alliance were dumbfounded when they saw this. The players of United Alliance believed in two things. One was Watcher Fish's intelligence, and the other was Nian Luyun's abilities. Watcher Fish's intelligence went without saying. Whether it was raiding dungeons or clearing bosses, United Alliance relied on Watcher Fish to come up with strategies. As for Nian Luyun's abilities, nobody doubted them. After all, over half of United Alliance's players were Nian Luyun's fans. Nian Luyun was also active on the front lines. Naturally, United Alliance's players knew how powerful he was. At the very least, United Alliance's players had never seen a player or boss that Nian Luyun could not deal with. Even Thunderstorm City's #1 guild did not dare to criticize United Alliance because of Nian Luyun. It was not that United Alliance's players had never seen a video on the forums. However, Watcher Fish had also explained that Wang Yu had despicably ambushed Nian Luyun. As Nian Luyun's fans, everyone believed this without a doubt. Just now in the Illusion Garden, although Wang Yu had killed 2 people while surrounded by the crowd, he did not have much of an advantage when fighting against Nian Luyun. Instead, he had fled. Therefore, everyone still had absolute trust in Nian Luyun. They thought that Wang Yu was just a coward who knew how to launch sneak attacks and would run away if he couldn't win. However, the scene just now had truly shattered everyone's faith. This time, Wang Yu had neither dodged nor ambushed Nian Luyun. Instead, he had faced Nian Luyun head-on and instantly destroyed their belief in invincibility. That's right, he had instantly killed Nian Luyun. The 2 experts were equally famous. Even if they did not fight for several hundred rounds, they should have at least fought for some time. What did Shi Feng mean by instantly killing Nian Luyun? Out of the way, out of the way! While the members of United Heart Alliance were in a daze, Wang Yu shouted as she charged at the members of United Heart Alliance. "Dodge my ass! Stop him!" Snapping out of their daze, United Alliance's members hurriedly formed a line and surrounded Wang Yu. "Ha!" Wang Yu sighed. He then leaped over the heads of United Alliance's players. Before they could react, 2 spears suddenly swept at them. Half of the 20-plus players died on the spot. The surviving players watched in horror as 2 guards followed behind Wang Yu. "What the F***CK? What's going on?" United Alliance's survivors were dumbfounded. One of them exclaimed, "Is the rumor that this guy can command NPCs to kill people true?" Hiss! When everyone heard this, they immediately thought of the vague rumor, and their fear of Wang Yu increased. "Are you guys done capturing them?" At this time, Wang Yu was sending a message to Wuji and the others. The flower demons were very weak, and Wuji's healer was just a bystander. At this time, he was idle. When he saw Wang Yu's message, he quickly replied, "Not yet. What's wrong? Did you lose them?" I killed a few people at the entrance. The guards at the entrance are chasing after me," Wang Yu replied. United Alliance's members were speechless. They were used to killing without blinking in front of Yu Huiqing. They actually forgot to tell Wang Yu that players with more than 5 PK points in Sky Dragon City could not wander in front of the guards. Do you think they can outrun you? Wu Ji asked. I can't outrun them, but I'm afraid they won't stop chasing me. It wasn't like Wang Yu hadn't been chased by guards before. He knew that these guys were very stubborn. Mingdu, who was more experienced in PK, said, as long as your PK points don't exceed 10, they'll go back if they don't see you. Run slowly. Don't bring them to the illusion garden. Got it. Wang Yu looked back. As expected, the 2 guards stopped chasing him after he ran a certain distance away. So, Wang Yu turned around and ran back to Sky Dragon City. The United Alliance's channel was in an uproar. What's going on? Flowing Cloud, how did you die? Underwater Fish asked in confusion when he saw that Nian Luyun had been killed. He was killed by Iron Ox. Iron Ox? Isn't he at the city gate? Underwater Fish was shocked when he heard this. Yes, we're chasing him, Nian Luyun said. What about the boss? Underwater Fish asked anxiously. Chapter 544. Go back and continue killing? Did you leave someone there? Underwater Watcher said in shock. No, Nian Luyun said. Then did you notice if there was anyone around when you came? Underwater Watcher asked. No. Nian Luyun's forehead was dripping with sweat. Oh no. Underwater Watcher slapped his thigh and said, We've fallen into a trap. Nian Luyun heard Underwater Watcher's words and immediately reacted. Angrily he cursed, That despicable guy! Where are you now? Underwater Watcher asked. I'm in the dojo, Nian Luyun said. Where are the others? At the door behind you. The survivors and victims replied separately. Behind me? Underwater Watcher turned his head and found a dozen or so wizards staring at him gloomily. Underwater Watcher immediately exclaimed, He killed all of you by himself? No matter how amazing Wang Yu was, he was only a grandmaster of combat. Killing one with one punch was already shocking enough, but he killed a dozen in one go. Was he even human? No. It was the guards, the player who was killed replied. Just like the rumors, that person can command a party. What commanding party? Anyone can do that when their honor and reputation in a main city reach a certain level. Underwater Watcher frowned and said, That doesn't make sense. That's impossible. He's not a local. The difficulty of increasing a main city's honor and reputation was based on the main city's population. Main cities with a small population had more reputation and honor quests, so they would increase faster. For example, Titan City was remote and uninhabited. Basically, every party had these quests. Sky Dragon City wasn't a remote place like Titan City, where you could increase your honor and reputation to respected just by walking around. In a densely populated main city like Heavenly Dragon City, honor points and reputation quests were extremely rare. Players' main source of honor and reputation points was dungeons. If Wang Yu did not mingle in Heavenly Dragon City, he would not grind dungeons here. More importantly, Heavenly Dragon City belonged to Dragon Island. If Wang Yu's honor rating was high in Yu Huiqing or another main city, it wouldn't be a big deal. However, how could a player who was respected in Titan City be respected by Heavenly Dragon City's NPC? Watching Fish Underwater frequently visited the library, so he had a certain understanding of the hatred between the Titans and Dragons. It was impossible for players to raise their reputation to respect in two opposing main cities. The unlucky guy who was killed by the guards said, I don't know about that. We didn't even know what was going on before the two guards slaughtered us. Forget it, let's not care about him. Let's hurry back and see how the boss is doing. Originally, the boss was playing well, but with the sudden appearance of Wang Yu, watching Fish Underwater was now having a headache. Should we inform the people of the end of the world? Xiao He suddenly asked. Xiao He's words were not wrong. After all, the boss was bought from the end of the world. If it was stolen in the middle of killing, the end of the world would definitely be embarrassed. Logically speaking, the people of the end of the world would have to intervene. However, the people of Chuanjin didn't have good intentions. Watching Fish Underwater was also plotting something. They were here to steal the boss, and now that the end of the world was involved, wasn't it asking for trouble? There's no need to look for them unless it's absolutely necessary. Have you forgotten what we're here for? Watching Fish Underwater replied, a little annoyed. As a dictator, Watching Fish Underwater wouldn't listen to his subordinates' opinions, especially when it was such a stupid opinion. Oh, Shao, he replied. Under Watching Fish Underwater's command, the players of Heart Alliance at the Resurrection Point and the surviving players of Heavenly Dragon City quickly gathered together. More than 20 people formed a formation and hurriedly walked out of the city. However, as soon as they walked out of the gate, they saw Wang Yu steadily running over from not far away. F***CK, that jinx is here again. More than 20 people were beaten up by Wang Yu alone, including Faith of Heart Alliance. At this moment, Wang Yu had cast a shadow over the hearts of the players of Heart Alliance that couldn't be erased. When the players of Heart Alliance saw Wang Yu running over, they were immediately scared out of their wits. They immediately turned around and ran back into the city. Watching Fish Underwater shouted in shock and anger, "What are you afraid of? Flowing Cloud, go hold him back, we'll go this way." Okay. Thinking Flowing Cloud received the order and rushed towards Wang Yu. When Wang Yu saw Thinking Flowing Cloud rushing towards him, he pointed behind him and shouted, "Be careful behind you." Thinking Flowing Cloud had never been tricked before. When he heard Wang Yu's shout, he hurriedly turned around. Wang Yu took the opportunity to bypass Thinking Flowing Cloud and rush towards Watching Fish Underwater and the others with collapsing fists. By the time Thinking Flowing Cloud realized that he had been tricked, Watching Fish Underwater and Shao, he had already died at Wang Yu's hands for the third time. "You liar!" Thinking Flowing Cloud angrily lay on the ground and was about to pounce on Wang Yu. Wang Yu pointed behind Thinking Flowing Cloud and shouted again, "Be careful behind you." Thinking Flowing Cloud sneered and said, "I won't be tricked twice." Before Thinking Flowing Cloud could finish speaking, he heard the sound of wind. He looked out of the corner of his eye and saw a spear stabbing towards his back. In a moment of desperation, Thinking Flowing Cloud pushed the ground with both hands and flipped his body. He formed a claw with his right hand and grabbed the spear. Then, he pushed off with his back foot and leaped into the air, flipping from below to above the spear. At the same time, he swung his feet horizontally and kicked the spear's owner in the face. What a move against the current. Wang Yu cheered upon seeing this, then said, "But you're finished." Hearing this, Thinking Flowing Cloud's head was filled with question marks. At the same time, he saw his companion's blank expressions and Wang Yu's gloating expression. Shocked, Thinking Flowing Cloud hurriedly looked behind him. Seeing the system guard's calm face, Thinking Flowing Cloud couldn't help but swallow his saliva. System guards were absolutely invincible existences. There was no way to survive an attack on a system guard. In the next moment, the guard expressionlessly swung his spear, wanting to kill Thinking Flowing Cloud. Thinking Flowing Cloud was an expert at this. How could he be killed so easily? He pushed his spear and used it as leverage, wanting to use the guard's strength to escape. However, just as Thinking Flowing Cloud's right hand let go of the spear, he hadn't flown far when a sudden white light wrapped around his ankle. Being hit by the white light, Thinking Flowing Cloud involuntarily flew back in midair. At the same time, 2 spears pierced through him. "You bastard!" Screaming, Thinking Flowing Cloud turned into a ray of white light. Everyone from the United Hearts Alliance was completely dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with disdain for Wang Yu. "Damn it, if you can't beat Thinking Flowing Cloud, it's fine if you try to trick him, but if you can beat him, you still want to kill him? Do you have any humanity left?" Wang Yu ignored everyone's gazes and turned to run, muttering as he ran, "What a joke. All's fair in war, you know." Chapter 545. Damn! Inside Heavenly Dragon City's Resurrection Point, Underwater Fish was about to explode with rage. Not only had he been killed 3 times in a single day, but the boss that he had spent so much money on might even be stolen by someone else. Even more frustrating was the fact that he could not make this matter public. If he were to break his teeth and swallow it, he would suffer internal injuries. Why did we bump into him at the entrance again? Didn't they say he left? Underwater Fish roared in the party channel. None of the United Alliance players dared to make a sound. Is he still at the entrance? Underwater Fish asked. He ran away. The United Alliance players at the city gate replied. Ran away? What is this bastard trying to do? Underwater Fish was completely dumbfounded by Wang Yu's actions. Judging from Wang Yu's actions, Wang Yu was probably after him. However, if he really wanted revenge, he could have just guarded the resurrection point. Why was he guarding the city gate? The main city had 4 gates and several smaller gates. The loophole was much bigger than the resurrection point. Moreover, Wang Yu ran away after killing the guards. He had no intention of entering the city. It was illogical. By the way, why did those 2 guards want to kill you? Thinking up to this point, Underwater Fish suddenly came to a realization. He asked Nian Luyun. Nian Luyun thought for a moment before replying, I'm not sure. The 2 guards came for me. I didn't know what was going on and fought back. In the end, I was stabbed to death. Nian Luyun's tone was extremely gloomy. If it weren't for Wang Yu messing around, even if Nian Luyun couldn't beat the 2 guards, he would have had no problem escaping. Are you sure the 2 guards came for you? Underwater Fish frowned and asked, Where was that bastard at the time? Right in front of me, Nian Luyun said. Right in front of you? Underwater Fish thought for a moment before suddenly shouting, I know! Those 2 guards weren't listening to his commands. They were here to kill him. Ah? Are you serious? When everyone heard what Underwater Fish said, they thought about it carefully. They clearly didn't see Wang Yu talking to the guard, but the guard went straight for Wang Yu. If it wasn't to kill Wang Yu, what else could it be? Damn it, using the guards who were chasing him to kill someone, this person's combat level was really annoying. He's definitely not far from the city gate watching us. As soon as we step out, he'll come and kill me. Underwater Fish continued, Look carefully in the direction he ran. He can't have gone far. When the people outside the city heard this, they followed the direction in which Wang Yu ran. Sure enough, at this time, Wang Yu was leaning against a tree, half sitting, with a blade of grass in his mouth. When he saw the people looking in his direction, he waved in greeting. F***ck. Too arrogant. Everyone was infuriated, but there was nothing they could do. They couldn't beat him at all, they could only endure it. Should we take a detour? Nian Luyun asked. The Alliance channel fell silent. Taking a detour? This was normal from other people's mouths, but from Nian Luyun's mouth, it was not normal at all. It should be known that in Thunderstorm City, or even in all of District 2, as long as Nian Luyun went to a place, others would have to take a detour. Now, there were more than 20 people from Alliance, yet they had to take a detour. How could the members of Alliance accept this? Cough, cough. Underwater Fish coughed and said, Luyun has no problem dealing with that bastard. The main problem is that we're holding him back. We know. The members of Alliance nodded. Just as Nian Luyun was about to explain that she really couldn't beat Wang Yu, she suddenly received a private message from Nian Luyun. Don't say anything. Only then did Nian Luyun shut her mouth. The establishment of Alliance could not be separated from Nian Luyun's fan base. If Nian Luyun was afraid, wouldn't the others be in chaos? After stopping Nian Luyun, Underwater Fish said, The detour to the other 3 gates of Heavenly Dragon City is too far. Even if we get there now, the bosses will probably all be killed by now. There's no need to take a detour. Everyone, just follow me to the north gate. That Jinx is sitting at the entrance, the players at the entrance said, fear still lingering in their hearts. Wang Yu killed people cleanly and efficiently. They had all seen it. Even Yen Luyun would not be able to escape death under Wang Yu's schemes. Underwater Fish actually wanted to go to the north gate? Despite knowing that there was a tiger in the mountain, he still chose to go to the mountain. It really made people wonder if Underwater Fish's brain had gone haywire. It's fine. You guys return to the city gate and wait. I have a way to deal with him, Underwater Fish said. When the players at the entrance heard Underwater Fish's words, they helplessly returned to the city. When Wang Yu saw them returning to the city, he asked in the team chat, they've all returned to the city. Are we going to take a detour? Wuji said, the 4 districts of Heavenly Dragon City are not adjacent to each other. If we take a detour, it will take at least half an hour. By that time, we will have already captured the boss. You just need to stand guard at the entrance. The fish in the water is full of trick. It might be luring you to another city gate. Oh, got it. Wang Yu sat under a tree, his eyes fixed on the people entering and leaving the city gate. Just as Wuji had said, not long after, Underwater Fish led his subordinates out of the city gate. How is it? That bastard might have gone to the other 3 gates now. After Underwater Fish exited the city gate, he looked around. When he did not see Wang Yu, he proudly said to his subordinates, Boss, Underwater Fish really has a good plan. The other members of Alliance happily flattered him. Is that so? I'm sorry to disappoint you. At this moment, Wang Yu jumped down from a tree not far from the city gate. When the members of Alliance saw Wang Yu descend from the sky, they panicked. Watching Fish Underwater ran towards the city gate while shouting orders, hurry up and retreat to the guard's side. Everyone received the order and hurriedly retreated to the city gate. Guards stood on both sides of the city gate. Underwater Fish led his subordinates to stand beside the guards. He then pointed his middle finger at Wang Yu and said, Bastard, do you dare come over? Wang Yu remained unmoved as she looked at Underwater Fish, who had no regard for her image as she cursed out loud. Wang Yu was not a foolish NPC monster who would recklessly kill someone in front of the guards when faced with such a low-level provocation. Seeing that Wang Yu did not fall for it, Underwater Fish instructed, everyone, curse together. What are we scolding? The players of Heart Alliance asked innocently. This bastard is a bastard. We'll curse whatever filthy thing he says. We have to lure him over. As Underwater Fish spoke, he took the lead in cursing. Underwater Fish was an expert at distorting the truth. He said whatever filthy thing he said, and his description was so vivid that the people of Alliance could not tell the truth from the lies. The city gate was a place that players had to pass through. When they saw more than 20 people cursing a single person, and their description was so vivid, they immediately believed it. Their gazes when they looked at Wang Yu were a little strange. Wang Yu did not care if one person cursed him, but when so many people cursed him in front of him and even slandered him, Wang Yu had never suffered such vexation before. You're dead, Wang Yu said as he pointed at Underwater Fish. Then come over, Underwater Fish said proudly. Chapter 546. Are you trying to stir up trouble? Underwater Fish saw that Wang Yu still dared to come and kill him despite having such a powerful backer. He was so frightened that his scalp went numb, and he hurriedly hid behind the guard. When the guard saw Wang Yu charging over, he raised his spear and stabbed. The guard's attack speed was not fast, and it was very mechanical. His moves came and went, and he only used a few horizontal and vertical slashes with the spear. However, he was very strong, and he used his strength conquers 1,000 to the extreme. In this situation, there was no point of leverage. No matter who was stabbed, it would be difficult to escape death. Seeing that Wang Yu was about to die, the fish in the water didn't even have the time to rejoice. Suddenly, Wang Yu's feet stepped on the air as if he was stepping on air. His jumping height suddenly increased by a notch, flying over the guard's head and landing behind him. The guard naturally turned around and swung his spear. Without even looking, Wang Yu somersaulted forward to the foot of the wall to avoid the guard's attack. Underwater Fish was behind the guard at this time, and he was swept back to the resurrection point by the guard's spear. He didn't even get a single PK point for Wang Yu until he died. After Underwater Fish died, the guard turned around and continued to attack Wang Yu. Another guard at the city gate also brandished his spear to block the way from the left. Both the front and left paths were blocked. Wang Yu turned around to run to the right, but Nian Luyun blocked his way. "You can't escape." Nian Luyun sneered as he spread his arms, blocking Wang Yu's path. Wang Yu smiled slightly. "Is that so?" As he spoke, Wang Yu leaped and flew over the head of the incoming guard. Nian Luyun quickly followed and reached out to grab Wang Yu's ankle. Earlier, Nian Luyun had been caught by Wang Yu. Now that he had caught Wang Yu, Nian Luyun felt like he had gotten his revenge. However, before Nian Luyun could laugh out loud, Wang Yu's other foot stepped on Nian Luyun's face. Nian Luyun instantly turned into a white light. At this moment, the spears of the two guards had already reached him. Bang! Wang Yu's body shattered. It was his doppelganger that was hit by the guard, while Wang Yu himself stepped on the wall that was more than 10 meters tall and rose straight up. When he was halfway up, Wang Yu stepped on the wall and flew out. He jumped a few times in the air and jumped out of the guard's aggro range, disappearing from everyone's sight. Heart Alliance's members weren't the only ones who were dumbfounded. Even the Sky Dragon City players entering and exiting the city gates were dumbfounded, their eyes wide with shock. After a long time, someone muttered, "What's going on? I'm not dreaming, right?" In Rebirth, the Sky Dragon City players were the most familiar with the strength of the guards. Back then, the Dragonblood Spear God had stood at the gates and massacred the entire city, forcing the Sky Dragon City players to close their doors and disappear without a trace. In the end, the Dragonblood Spear God had been hacked to death by the guards. To this day, that video was still on the front page of the Sky Dragon City forums, encouraging the players of Sky Dragon City since ancient times. Even such an arrogant boss couldn't withstand a single blow from the guards, and now, a player had killed 2 of them and left. What kind of expert was this? As for the Heart Alliance players, they didn't know how to describe their current feelings. The Sky Dragon City players might not know, but they themselves did. The 2 people who had been slaughtered were the 2 most revered and worshipped leaders of their own guild. Even if they weren't super experts, they at least had a certain level of strength. Nian Luyun, on the other hand, was a truly ruthless person. It was normal for him to take on 10 people at once, but in Wang Yu's hands, he was easily killed. If the Sky Dragon City players knew that the Grandmaster of Combat that Wang Yu casually killed was the legendary Nian Luyun, they wouldn't even be able to describe Wang Yu as an expert. He was a god. For a moment, the name Iron Ox the Great Demon King was like a nightmare, lingering in the hearts of the Heart Alliance players. While the players at the gates of Sky Dragon City were still in awe, Wang Yu had already run far away. After confirming that the guards wouldn't chase after him, Wang Yu opened the guild channel and said, "My PK is about to hit 9, I can't kill anymore. My reputation and honor in Sky Dragon City are very low. If I get killed, I'll probably lose a level. There's no need to kill, we're about to succeed. Go to the Revival Street and stall them." Wuji replied. Wang Yu said, "I can't enter the city. Don't you know Qinggong? Just jump over. There's an archer on the wall," Wang Yu said. As the saying went, archers have cheats since ancient times. The archers were even scarier than the guards with Luck E. Even if Wang Yu could fly, he would still be shot down. Yes. At this moment, Chun Xiang suddenly sent out a string of coordinates. "What do you mean?" "These coordinates are in a place where the archer and guard's aggro range can't reach." Chun Xiang said. Really? You're not trying to trick me, right? Wang Yu was skeptical. Why would I trick you? This is called a defensive blind spot. It's a place that players need to defend during a city war. You're probably the only one who can jump over right now. Chun Xiang explained. Wang Yu opened the map and marked the coordinate. It wasn't far from him. When Wang Yu arrived, he knew why Chun Xiang said he was the only one who could jump over. The so-called battle blind spot was actually one of the arrow towers at the four corners of Sky Dragon City. Naturally, the higher the view, the wider the view, so this tower was more than 10 meters higher than the city wall. There were guards and archers on both sides of the tower. From the distance, the tower was indeed out of the archers' range. A height of more than 30 meters was basically a moat for players before they learned flight. However, for Wang Yu, he wasn't afraid of this height before he learned Qigong, let alone now. Leaping into the air, Wang Yu ran a few meters along the wall. After jumping 4 times, he easily entered the city. The guards inside the city weren't as densely packed as the city walls. Stepping on rooftops, Wang Yu ran towards the resurrection point. At this time, Underwater Fish and Nian Luyun had already resurrected at the resurrection point. Hearing from the other players in the guild that Wang Yu had killed Flowing Cloud while surrounded by the guards and fled, Underwater Fish's face was as white as a sheet. Even though he had long known that Wang Yu was as strong as Nian Luyun and extremely difficult to deal with, and he had even come up with countermeasures to deal with her, Underwater Fish had never dared to imagine that Wang Yu's strength had reached such a level. It had completely exceeded his understanding of strength. If Underwater Fish were given another chance, he definitely wouldn't choose such a bug-like opponent at such a wrong time and place. How is it, Old Cloud? Do you still have the confidence to try again? Underwater Fish asked Nian Luyun. Nian Luyun, similarly, replied with a grim expression, He's too strong. Even if all of us work together, we won't be a match for him. That's right. He's too strong. Underwater Fish repeated Nian Luyun's words. Suddenly, his expression darkened. Chapter 547. Yes, he's too strong. Underwater pondered Nian Luyun's words, and his heart tightened. Ever since he was killed by Wang Yu for the first time, Underwater Fish had felt that something was amiss. Now that he heard Nian Luyun's words, Underwater Fish felt as if he had caught a glimmer of light amidst the chaos. You're saying that we can't beat him even if we work together? Underwater asked Nian Luyun. Nian Luyun answered truthfully, in the past, even if I couldn't beat him, I would have no problem running away. However, based on the situation just now, he's much stronger than before. If I fought him head-on, I wouldn't last more than 10 rounds. As for you guys... Underwater did not speak. Even if Nian Luyun did not say anything, Underwater understood that the battle between Wang Yu and Nian Luyun was not something ordinary players could interfere with. Nian Luyun could only last 10 rounds. Ordinary players were cannon fodder at best. They might not even last 1 round. Then tell me, why didn't he just kill us when he was in the illusion garden? Underwater Fish said thoughtfully. Nian Luyun thought for a moment, then said, Is he afraid that the guards will chase him if his PK is too high? No, the illusion garden isn't far from the main city, but it's not within the range of the guards. I think he's deliberately creating the illusion that his mind isn't on the boss, Underwater said. His mind isn't on the boss? Nian Luyun could not wrap her head around this. Underwater continued, The flower demon boss isn't strong. They have the strength to snatch it by force. However, they could have snatched it more efficiently, yet they're dragging you around. Don't you think it's strange? It is strange. Nian Luyun nodded. Is he buying time? That's right. He's buying time, Underwater said. Nian Luyun said, It's just a small boss. There's no point in buying time. The flower demon's level wasn't high. With Wang Yu's abilities, it wouldn't take him long to kill it. Not to mention, he had the help of others. If he had the time to wander around, the flower demon would have been killed several times already. That's right. That's why I find it strange. Could it be? Underwater exclaimed, Not good. Are they catching the flower demon? Capture flower demons? When Flowing Cloud heard Shurfeng's words, she immediately understood. Killing flower demons was not difficult, but capturing them was. It had to be known that Unity's members had to grind for nearly an hour before their intimacy with the flower demons rose to around 60%. If Chuanjin's members wanted to capture them, they would have to spend a lot of time as well. You guys hide from the God of Plague through the south gate. We'll circle around the west gate. Underwater Watching Fish shouted in the guild channel. The flower demon boss had cost 1,000 gold coins to purchase. 1,000 gold coins was not a small sum. Even Underwater Fish's guild leader valued such a large sum of money. If the flower demon was really captured by the people of the Quan Jin sect, 1,000 gold coins for nothing would be a small matter. With the temper of the people of the Quan Jin sect, wouldn't they spread the news that the flower demon could be captured? At that time, the fish in the water would not have the slightest chance of catching the flower demon. Take a detour? Hearing the instruction to watch the fish underwater, everyone was a little confused. Is there enough time? Enough. They're also trying to catch the boss. Underwater Fish replied. Rebirth was very balanced. The boss could not be easily captured. Judging from the situation just now, even if they wore the 100-flower set equipment and used Holy Oracle to brainwash the flower demon, they would not be able to capture the flower demon without at least an hour. Only 10 or so minutes had passed. If they took a detour to the Illusion Garden, they would definitely have enough time. He had Holy Oracle. Even if the boss was caught by Chuanjin, they could easily snatch it back. The worst-case scenario would be a stalemate with no one able to capture the boss. After giving orders to his subordinates, Underwater Fish and Yen Luyun ran toward the west gate without stopping. Just as they ran out of the resurrection point, they heard someone shout, Where are you guys going? Crap. When Underwater Fish heard the voice, he froze on the spot as if he had been struck by lightning. He saw Wang Yu poking his head out from the roof. He smiled and said, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Underwater Fish hurriedly sent a message to Yen Luyun. Bring the guards over. At the same time, he asked Wang Yu, How did you get into the city? The city gate was heavily guarded, and there were archers on the city walls. If Wang Yu could force his way in without making a sound, Underwater Fish might as well give up on this game. I walked in, Wang Yu replied. Underwater Fish was speechless for a moment. He said, Let's talk. Can we put our matter aside for now? I'll agree to whatever you want. Hee hee. Wang Yu laughed coldly. What if I say I want your life? Wang Yu hated scumbags like Underwater Fish. Now, his face made Wang Yu feel even more disgusted. Right now, Wang Yu was only interested in killing him. Underwater Fish looked back and saw that Yen Luyun had already lured the guards out. He laughed sinisterly and said, If that's the case, then you can die first. After saying this, Underwater Fish ran in the direction of the guards. Every resurrection point was guarded by 4 guards. Yen Luyun had lured 4 of the guards into Wang Yu's aggro range. Pulling one hair in one place would cause a chain reaction. The guards at the 7 resurrection points all rushed out and flew up the building to attack Wang Yu. The central street where the resurrection points were located was a gathering place for players. It was already very lively. At this time, nearly 30 guards were moving out together. This was a scene that none of the players had seen before. Seeing such a strange scene, many players stopped to watch, and the entire street was in chaos. The attacks of the guards were simple and violent. They had a wide range, and did not care about the consequences. With so many guards charging around, the players on the street were either killed or sent flying. The scene quickly became chaotic. This was precisely the effect Underwater Fish wanted. While the street was in chaos, Underwater Fish and Nian Luyun weaved through the crowd and turned into an alley. The two had only taken a few steps when a black shadow descended from the sky and stomped on Nian Luyun's head, turning it into a white light. You! When Nian Luyun died, Underwater Fish saw that the person descending from the sky was none other than Wang Yu. He was so frightened that he collapsed to the ground. You think you can escape from me? You overestimate yourself, Wang Yu said calmly as he stood in front of Underwater Fish. Even so many guards can't stop you? Underwater Fish exclaimed in horror. Guards! Wang Yu smiled as he watched the guards crawl into the alley. He then said, I have many ways to deal with them. For example, saying so, Wang Yu pulled on a mask and covered his face. Immediately, the guards on both sides of the alley seemed to have lost their target. They turned and left the alley. This. Chapter 548. The flower demon has been stolen. Shouldn't you give us an explanation? Recipient, Dugu Jiuqiang. Unless absolutely necessary, Watcher Fish really did not want Dugu Jiuqiang's help. After all, Watcher Fish was also involved in the matter of stealing the boss. If he really pursued the matter, no one would be able to escape. However, the Quan Jin sect already had a huge grudge with Watching Fish underwater. Now that they were being bullied by Wang Yu, and things had developed to this point, Watching Fish underwater decided to go all out. Since you won't let me have an easy time, I won't let you have an easy time either. Wang Yu blocking Watcher Fish's entrance had caused quite a commotion. The entire city was in an uproar. In reality, Dugu Jiuqiang had long since heard the news. First, Apocalypse did indeed owe Chuanjin a boss. Second, as one of the few people who knew Wang Yu well, Dugu Jiuqiang did not want to provoke Wang Yu. Not to mention 9 solitary spears, who had fought against the complete reality sect for so many years, was an extremely despicable person. 9 solitary spears had already sold the boss to Unity Alliance. Since Unity Alliance could not kill the boss, 9 solitary spears naturally saved himself a boss. When the time came, Dugu Jiuqiang could use the excuse that Unity Alliance did not ask for help, so he did not know about it. At the same time, he could even give Chuanjin a boss. Chuanjin would kill the boss, and Unity Alliance would pay for it. No matter how you looked at it, Apocalypse was not a loss. However, if Unity Alliance really asked Dugu Jiuqiang for help, Dugu Jiuqiang could not refuse. Apocalypse was the seller, and Heavenly Dragon City was Apocalypse's home ground. If they ignored their own customers being bullied, they would lose Apocalypse's reputation. Of course, Apocalypse did not have a good reputation in the first place. What's going on? Someone dares to mess with Apocalypse's territory? When Dugu Jiuqiang received the news about the fish watching underwater, he quickly responded as if he didn't know anything about it. How would I know? We have paid the money. You can't just ignore it. Being an experienced fish watcher, he could tell Dugu Jiuqiang was being perfunctory. Yes, of course. Do you need any help now? Do you want me to help you clear the place? Dugu Jiuqiang asked. First, send your men over. We need to ensure that the boss doesn't die. Fish Underwater replied. He knew that Chuanjin's members would not kill the boss. Hence, the main reason he said this was to have Apocalypse's members keep an eye on the boss. No matter how powerful Chuanjin's members were, it was impossible for them to brazenly steal a boss from a major guild like Heavenly Dragon City. Okay. I'll arrange it right away. Since he had received money, Dugu Jiuqiang had no choice but to agree to Fish Underwater's request. However, while Fish Underwater and Dugu Jiuqiang were communicating, Chuanjin's members had already captured the flower demon. Hurry! Equip the flower demon with the 100 flowers set equipment. Wuji hurriedly instructed. As soon as Mingdu lured the flower demon into a war pet, humanoid non-summon war pets could equip equipment. Hearing this, Mingdu hurriedly took off the 100 flowers set equipment on his body and equipped it on the flower demon. The flower demon was already very beautiful. Now that it wore the 100 flowers set equipment, it was even more beautiful. The Chuanjin members felt relaxed and happy. Tisk, tsk, tsk. You are such a beauty. Why are you so strange? Mingdu stroked the flower demon's beautiful face with a look of pity. To place one's pride in Chun Xiang, they were so envious that their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. It's a pity that this old man has so many war pets, but none of them are decent. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Chun Xiang sighed. Chun Xiang only had one female pet. Moreover, it was a freaking beast man. Chun Xiang believed that he was not Su Xian and would not do such a crazy thing. To place one's pride cried, forget it. I don't even have a pet with the upper body of a woman. Alright, stop talking nonsense. Let's hurry up and go. The fish in the water will become desperate after being beaten. Wuji urged the three of them. After saying this, the group walked out of the illusion garden. When they reached the entrance of the illusion garden, they saw Light Brother and the others strolling around the entrance. Brother Guang had met the people from the Quan Zhen sect before. Wuji was afraid that he would be recognized, so he sent a message to Linglong Meng and asked her to meet them. Is the boss over? Light Brother asked curiously. Yes, it's over, Exquisite Dream replied. Light Brother then asked, did it drop? Light Brother was referring to the flower demon's crown. This boss had guarded the world's end for so long, yet they had not obtained a single flower demon's crown. When Light Brother heard that Heart Alliance had spent 1,000 gold to purchase the boss, he believed that Heart Alliance must have a special method to obtain it. What did it drop? It's just a pile of trash. We wasted so much money, Exquisite Dream said gloomily. Oh. Hearing that no one had dropped anything good, Light Brother's expression became extremely happy. Waving his hand, he said, let's go, let's go. Send my regards to Boss Flowing Cloud. Okay. Hearing this, Chuanjin and the others lowered their heads and left the illusion garden. I feel like I've seen these people somewhere before. Watching Wuji and the others leave, Light Brother scratched his bald head. He had not noticed that there was an additional person in the party. Normally, players remembered people based on their characteristics. For example, 3 of Chuanjin's 9 members were girls. This was their characteristic. Mingdu's cross-dressing had been switched to the flower demon. Although the party had increased from 9 to 10, the number of girls remained the same. Light Brother did not know that the boss could be captured. Hence, in this situation, he did not care about the number of people in the party. Less than 2 minutes after Chuanjin left, Light Brother received a message from Dugu Jiuqiang. Is someone killing the boss at the illusion garden? Someone from Heart Alliance has already left. Light Brother replied. Heart Alliance? Are you sure? Dugu Jiuqiang was slightly stunned. Didn't someone say that the boss had been stolen? Light Brother said, that's right. I've been in the illusion garden the entire time. The people from Heart Alliance have always been there. Oh, I understand. Dugu Jiuqiang smiled slightly. He immediately understood what was going on. Onlookers had a clearer view of the situation. Unity Alliance was crying about how they had been lured away from their base to steal their boss, while Brother Guang said that Unity Alliance had never left their base. Moreover, rumors of a murder had spread throughout the city. With these 3 factors combined, 9 solitary spears could roughly guess what had happened. Stealing a beam and replacing a pillar was a common trick used by Chuanjin's group. Thinking up to this point, Dugu Jiuqiang replied, I understand. If someone asks in the future, just insist that you saw Heart Alliance's people always there. They were always there. Light Brother was a little confused. Dugu Jiuqiang opened up his friends list again and said, Look, Boss Fish, you're not being honest. You've clearly killed all the bosses, yet you still say that someone stole the boss. Are you trying to extort me? You killed all the bosses? Underwater Watcher exclaimed. My subordinates saw it with their own eyes. Your people never left. Dugu Jiuqiang clearly did not want to admit it. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.